Hello and welcome to my channel. I had a child tell me the other day that if I say hello and welcome to my channel, that's a stupid way to open my videos.
Was it your child?
It was.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
we were driving somewhere and I made a joke about being a YouTuber. Then I was like, hello and welcome to my channel. And he was like, that's not how you open your videos. That's a stupid way to open a video. I'm like,
and
oh, that's literally every single video I have ever done on my channel.
so the response to that is, well, when you start getting paid to be a YouTuber as well, then you can have an opinion on being a YouTuber.
Oh, yeah.
Like but it is very funny in general. Like, at least it's okay. So I will say this: it is better than the generation of YouTubers that thankfully has come and died. Then all begin their videos like this. Go to the hell. How? What's everybody? What's up? Something Vice Rhino Nation or something like that.
They have not died. Those are the ones that my kids watch.
Oh, see, I stopped listening to them, and I just assumed they all died off.
Oh, I wish that's like Mr. Beast.
Just beginning everybody. What's up, Vice Rhino Nation? Today
like
we've got to
like,
talk about creationism.
Oh my God, there was a fucking video that they watched for a while. One of them was going through a fish phase where like there's this channel that like hunts fish for aquariums, and they do a gimmick in their videos to make them more interesting or whatever. But one of the times the gimmick was like, am I going to catch more fish in a normal fish trap or in, and I forget the words that they were using, but it was like an archaic fish trap or something like that. And they said it so many fucking times and it was like a big long clunky phrase. Like archaic fish trap is actually so much easier to say than what they were saying, and they just kept on saying it over and over again, and I'm just like, no, I want to punch you in the goddamn face. Stop it.
But if you're
it's your boy Vice Rhino coming at you.
Now I will say
like,
this
no
though,
cap, that's probably how they think would have been better, because like I am talking about a 7-year-old here, so that is
in terms of, so there's this weird contradiction.
Thank you for resubscribing.
There's this weird media contradiction that I want to bring up to you that brings up in my brain. So you know how when you are engaging in brainwashing, repetition is one of your best friends. When you are wanting something to stick. Consequently, if you are wanting children to repeat something, repetition is the best way to make that happen as well. Now for the fun paradox. On a writing level, it is generally considered a complete lack of faith in both your audience and a lack of experience as a writer to repeat the same thing over and over again.
So I've had multiple people commenting on my no cap just now. Yes, I was aware that I was doing that. I was saying it ironically, guys. Calm down.
If you guys want Rhino to actually not no cap, then just make him get a hat, like right now. See, Jassa, you're doing it.
A fascinator doesn't count as a cap, so it's still cap.
So it's super interesting to me that it is both a useful brainwashing technique and a technique to make children repeat things, but also it is considered a terrible writing technique that shows that you have lack of confidence.
It's also an educational trick for like right now. The two younger kids are really into the Odd Squad, which is an educational spy thriller thing where these kids are like in an agency that's made, it's meant to be like a James Bond MI6 type thing. But like their thing is like people will have like they'll have something odd happen in their life and they have to go fix it. And one of them is like, oh, every time I put a pizza in the pizza box, I close the lid, I open it back up, and 2 pieces are missing. And the 2 pieces are like a quarter of the pizza each. And they have a little adventure going on like, oh, well, 2 pieces are missing. So clearly the person who steals 2 things all the time is going to be it. And like, oh no, he lets us know that it's actually the person that steals quarters of things, because those 2 pieces, like I would only ever steal 2 pizzas. I wouldn't steal 2 quarters of a pizza.
Oh
and
my
then, like,
god, this feels like freaking what is it? Not Captain Planet. but there was a very old TV show that took a bunch of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons and put them together on like a plane solving mysteries, like island to island, and one of their recurring villains was Mr. Waste, but his alter ego was Mr. Plenty. So they would they would get to an island and he would be like, you can have as many frisbees as you want, I have plenty, I'm Mr. Plenty. And then the reveal at the end of the episode would be like, it wasn't Mr. Plenty, it was Mr. Waste. And I don't remember what the fucking show was, but that has been you have unlocked that memory in my brain now, Rhino.
You're welcome.
And I need somebody who is familiar with obscure Hanna-Barbera cartoons to help me here.
Yeah. Yeah, but my point is, like, the show is very repetitive in how they solve their little mysteries, and it like really drills it. So like for math concepts, like it's a pretty good way of actually educating the kids. So now when they come across that in school, it's going to already be there, sort of. But Progress Only is asking if it was a Yogi Bear thing.
Yogi Bear fandom, Mr. Waste. Okay, hold on. Yep, Sarah Chikorita has got me. Yep, there's the character Mr. Waste. The show is called Yogi's Gang. The show is called Yogi's Gang, an American animated television series, the second incarnation in the Yogi Bear franchise.
Oh, fucking Dora the Explorer.
Let's see here. It's Yogi Boo Boo and their friends like Huckleberry Hound, Quickdraw McGraw, and Wally Gator travel in a flying ark on a mission to confront social and cultural issues like ecology and bigotry, with villains like Mr. Waste, Dr. Bigot, and the Envy Brothers. This is the most fucking 70s to 80s cartoon fucking ever.
If Lex Luthor stole 15 kryptonite pieces and the Joker stole 10, would you call Batman or Wonder Woman?
So in general, Batman is better at dealing with Lex Luthor than even Superman. I'm okay describing Batman for the entire thing. He'll be fine. Wonder Woman,
Why did you say that name?
Man, okay, so like a lot of Wonder Woman's villains are very, very combat-centric villains. It's not a super interesting writing prompt to pair her up with Lex and Luthor because they're very, very cranial villains.
And she would just come in and kick the shit out of them.
She'd kick the shit out of them, and then the story would be over. Like that would be that. That's how that story would begin and end. I'd rather see Batman, or like even more interesting than Batman. I'd like to see the Clue. I'd like to see the Clue handle them in terms of like DC's heroes.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the Clue.
He wears a face mask that makes him have no face whatsoever, and he is a rabid conspiracy theorist. But imagine Alex Jones if he was right 99% of the time.
Rorschach.
I mean, it's also DC, but the difference between Clue and Rorschach is
he's not
Rorschach,
an anti-hero?
Yeah, because Rorschach is a fascist. Not Clue, the question. It's the question.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the inspiration for Rorschach, not Clue. It's the question. Yeah, like Rorschach is very much a narrative foil of what the question was. If the question was a fascist and was like ideologically wrong, but still correct a lot of the time.
Binu. That's not how you spell those, but I know what you're referring to.
Hitchmeister says, do you know why her weapon was a lasso? Because the original incarnation of Wonder Woman had a lot of BDSM subtext, to the point where calling it subtext was really fucking stupid. Like, that's the reason why. So, I don't know. Like, I will say, though, where Wonder Woman is concerned, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, like, Wonder Woman stories, like her solo stories.
Oh.
But
breaking news from Artemis: the government group chat got leaked.
Yep, guys, the group chat got leaked. The DMs got leaked. But like where Wonder Woman is concerned, I think my favorite Wonder Woman stories have to deal with her trying to reform the mascara. Like, I'm not super interested in most of her villains, but I am interested in her family. Those stories are really, really fucking cool to me. watching like the mascara doing its whole "we protect the world by being separate from it," and Wonder Woman sitting there going, "But there's an apocalypse happening and we need shelter. What are you doing, Mom?" Like, those stories are really cool and compelling to me where Wonder Woman's concerned. But in her actual rogues gallery, I've never really cared for.
Okay.
Except Hades. Hades is cool.
Yeah, best iteration of Hades is still the one from this is my hot take. It's from Disney's Hercules.
I mean, that's not a hot take.
Is it not?
That's really not a hot take.
Everybody fucking hated that movie.
So, okay, so the Hercules movie has this funny up and down, because I actually know a little bit about this one. When it came out, it was considered a commercial flop.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Disney movies that had a fan following, it is a very beloved one in like Tumblr verses. If you're familiar with Tumblr and how it used to function before it banned porn. So in terms of fandom, it is a very well-loved series, or it's a very well-loved movie and a decently well-loved series as well. The TV version of Hercules.
I just want to bust in here. My Twitch chat is arguing about one of our stories tonight as to whether or not it's even a thing.
What, the leaked one?
No. So like the leak thing is known, but someone commented on how the leak is worse than just, hey, government or like higher ups in the administration are texting their war plans to journalists. It's actually worse than that. And that's one of our stories tonight. So stop arguing, clueless expert. I'll give you your source.
Fair enough. But I think where Hercules, like that fandom started to really enjoy it more than when it originally was released is when Kingdom Hearts came out, because the Hercules section of both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 is like one of the most beloved sections of that game, because
I can see that the movie feels like it was made to be in a Kingdom Hearts video game.
Like, so the arena in Hades Underworld in Kingdom Hearts 1 is where the Sephiroth boss fight takes place in Kingdom Hearts 1. And in terms of like things that make Kingdom Hearts fans salivate, putting Cloud and Sephiroth, because it's also where you meet Cloud. Because you meet Cloud in the arena early, and you meet Sephiroth on floor 100 of the arena. Sephiroth is the optional boss. Cloud is the non-optional boss. Like, you put those characters in an area, you're gonna get people loving that area more just by association. I think Hercules is far more loved now than it was when it released. I think it's been a very slow burn of like a snowball falling down a hill with that particular movie.
So I enjoy the movie, but I will fully acknowledge that the pacing in it is a complete mess. But I think it's a fun movie.
I think it's a fun movie too, and I
Hades... also, again, another hot take maybe. I also really like The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I do as well.
They did butcher the source material, but it's Disney. When do they not do that?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the source material. I will say, Hunchback of Notre Dame, I did not like much when I was a kid. I remember getting
my like for it kind of flipped. Was when I was a kid, I liked Jason Alexander being Jason Alexander in it because that was funny. As an adult, I'm just like, okay, no, tone it down. That doesn't fit. Like you're making fart jokes. Well, they're burning infants alive, just out of frame.
I think as my appreciation for musicals grew, and as I became an atheist, that's when Hunchback started to be way more fun for me.
Chat would also like me to clarify that as much as I like the Hercules character, the Hades character in Hercules, James Wood is a piece of shit. So I am aware of that. I'm
actually not aware of anything James Wood related, like as far as he's outside of his roles.
He went right-wing nut job.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And we're talking first Trump administration, it was known that James Woods was a piece of shit.
Fair. Lenari says Hunchback of Notre Dame is so beautiful. The gargoyles needed to be toned down. You said ruined down, but I think you meant toned down. Could be wrong. I know. I want
It's
to
a combination of they needed to be toned down because they ruined the movie.
I will say I think I may be able to recruit Saki into a watching of like all of the Disney movies going from Snow White up to Princess and the Frog, like all of the older school animated Disney movies, even though Princess and the Frog is more modern, but it is still meant to be an old school Disney animated movie. I think I can get her to watch all of them with me in a rewatch because like that means that she'll be watching Lilo and Stitch again, and that's one of her favorite movies of all time. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and the TV show is fucking great for that too. So I'll be fine with that. I just need to make sure it's after we're done doing Star Wars because we just finished season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. We're doing Kenobi, and then we're going back to finish off Mandalorian. I'm gonna be honest, Book of Boba Fett, I don't understand why people didn't like that series. That thing is fucking amazing.
So if you can detach it from the source material, yes, I could see liking it. But that's not Boba Fett.
It's not it's not the Boba Fett that we got post Sarlacc in the original books and comics.
No, it's not even that. It's not like I think it's more that like the thing that bothered me the most, like they did kind of change his character. Is like, so first out, like Boba Fett is really scary because he's the guy that like, oh, he doesn't like he's just the bounty hunter, he's just after the money, he doesn't care about people or whatever. And turning that into like a kind of anti-hero thing could be an interesting storyline, but they would just use the Sarlacc pit and he basically went to Burning Man with the Sand People and came out as a renewed person who suddenly cares about the poor and downtrodden. And that didn't really make sense. For David Arlen for $20 says, was Sephiroth beatable in Kingdom Hearts? I think yes.
Yeah, he was beatable in Kingdom Hearts. He was the hardest boss fight in Kingdom Hearts, though.
But back to Boba Fett. So like they basically used the Sarlacc and his time with the Sand People to do a character reset and be like, okay, well, how do we take this complete scary badass who doesn't care about anybody and turn him into a protagonist that people like? And of course, Disney recently, they seem to be averse to having any obvious personality flaws in their protagonists. Like if anything bad happens, or if the protagonist does anything bad, it's because of external factors. It's not because of a character flaw that they need to learn to overcome.
I mean, that's weird considering that the entire story of Mandalorian is character flaws in Mando himself and him having to overcome those, but okay.
For the most part. I was thinking of like the movies and like Rey. Like all of the problems that she had to deal with were not problems that she had. They were external problems that came from elsewhere. I mean, I guess arguably you could say her trying to figure out who her parents are was more of an internal thing, but even then it's an internal thing that is beyond her control. Like who her parents aren't going to change depending on what character arc she takes. Yeah, no, just they did a complete 180 on his character, but the thing that bothered me the most in it was what made Boba Fett so compelling in the original trilogy was the mystery. You didn't know who's under the helmet. You didn't know what kind of person you're dealing with here. And every fucking time he had the helmet on in any scene, he took it off. And it was just like, no, put your fucking helmet on, you jackass.
I can definitely agree with that. Actually, let me rephrase. I'm of two minds on that one. I agree with you 110% because there is a pandemic for the last 20 years in all movies with characters with masks of removing their masks for various bits for no goddamn reason. Fucking
Mandalorian, like to bring it back to that, Mandalorian, I think the first couple seasons were really, really good. And one of the things that they did was very, very sparingly remove his mask. And when he does, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
And the amount of emoting that they managed to get through with just the way they shot the mask and the way he would like tilt his head or whatever, like the combination of cinematography and acting from that was just perfectly done. So like, you can't tell me that it's because we need to see the emotions on the face or whatever. Like, no, we can get that from other cues that you give us. And
Asina says Dredd didn't, Cirrus. So here's this funny thing. Dredd may not have done it, and Deadpool did it very sparingly, and Mandalorian did it very sparingly. But those couple of exceptions does not change the fact that for the last 20 years, let's have a very scary Venom, let's remove his mask all the time. Let's have Spider-Man, let's remove his mask all the time. Let's have Batman,
or
let's
even,
remove his mask.
And like, I know why they do it too. Like Lord of the Rings is one of my least favorite examples of this. Is like they're going into battle and all the main characters, the first thing they do before they even get knocked off of anything is pull their helmets off. And it's like, okay, you are dead now, because that's how medieval battles work. But
I know. I on the one hand I agree, because but that's part of a larger problem of directors having characters in masks take their helmet off all the time for no good reason. Even in Kenobi, the first shot of Darth Vader is not Darth Vader in the mask. It's Vader in the bacta tank. So like I get it. On the flip side though, it made sense for me for Boba Fett because two things. One, his character change. I don't find his character change any different than Han Solo's character change, because he and Han Solo are on very equal footing in terms of like, this is a character who's all about the money. This is a character who does the job and then gets out. It is what they do. And then they grow to be a person who cares more about people. Han did it in the movies. Boba did it here. I'm not super concerned with that change.
I don't know. I feel like it wasn't earned.
I can understand that perspective. I guess it's, if I were to put myself in the shoes of a character like Boba, it's how would my life be changed if I was in something like the Sarlacc pit for a very, like, how much would I think about what choices led me there? And the words he uses in the show actually make sense. How many of our kind, and it's hard to tell if he's talking about the clones or if he's talking about bounty hunters, but he could easily be talking about both. How many of our kind died because of the stupid decisions of their bosses? What if I decided that I was going to be one of those bosses that didn't make those stupid decisions? That makes sense with me. That's in character for both Boba Fett the clone and Boba Fett the bounty hunter.
I don't know, because I feel like the guy who had to be told no disintegrations doesn't care what. Like, oh yeah, bunch of bounty hunters died because of stupid decisions their bosses made. Okay, more bounty for me.
I believe that character didn't care, and I wholeheartedly believe that character didn't care in episodes 5 and 6. The Boba Fett afterwards, after those events, I think that person may learn to care. Now, whether or not it's earned, I guess we just kind of disagree on that one. That's fine. But I do use that as a piggyback for him removing his helmet. I don't like him doing it all the time, because in general, he's a cooler character with the helmet on. But there are some areas where I'm perfectly okay with him removing the helmet, like whenever he walks into the gambling ring. Whenever he goes into there and is introducing himself as like, I'm taking over for the Hutts, I'm the new warlord here, he's trying to make himself seem like a more personable person to those people, rule out of respect instead of fear. It makes sense that he would take that barrier off, though I do have the suspicion that it was also done solely so they could have that let's polish your helmet scene where they had him less protected so that they could hurt him, which is but I don't know. I don't mind it in half the scenes, but it is a thing that happens a little too often for a character like Boba Fett, whose entire silhouette is built on having that fucking mask.
Well, and also again, this is just like age and time has passed sort of thing, but like he didn't seem like he seemed too chunky to play Boba Fett. And I get that you can't expect an actor of that age to like, oh no, you have to be in the same shape as, it wasn't even him in the original. You have to have the same body as Jeremy Bullock from the 70s.
Yeah, because they got the I can't remember his name, but the guy who played Jango Fett. they got him to play Boba, which again,
The guy who
makes
played
sense.
all the clones. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it made sense.
That makes sense.
It made sense. I'm not arguing with that. I just like, he doesn't look like Boba Fett. He looks like fat Boba Fett. Which get.
Is weird.
It's just like it's a factor of age and whatever, and like it doesn't actually matter, but
it is kind of funny to consider that like these are events that happened very shortly after the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
So like I guess the only implication is that the worst weight loss routine ever.
He ate a lot of the food that the Sarlacc ate. And guess what the Sarlacc ate? Ooh.
No, it's also weird.
Donner party for two.
While he was in the Sarlacc pit, it is implied that like the Beskar armor didn't get eaten, but like also very little of anywhere else in his body got digested much. I guess technically it did because he had to be in the back of the tank for several days afterwards, but it seemed like he came out a lot more okay for somebody who was effectively wearing like 6 pieces of Beskar Max.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we should probably actually talk about the news.
We should, but it's way more depressing.
Well, I didn't grab a story for the big news article, but like a couple of the stories that we're covering kind of tangent off of it. So just as a background, in case anyone is not aware, the higher ups in Trump's cabinet are using Signal to talk about their war plans, which is a huge no-no.
Yeah, it's a no-no on 2 fronts. It's a no-no, one, because Signal is a private party, unverified, unsecured app. It's more secure than Discord. Mind, it's more encrypted, more secure than something like Discord, but it's still not the level of security that you need for national security, as evidenced by
them
what
accidentally
with it.
adding a fucking journalist to their group chat.
The other issue is when it comes to a lot of those briefings, there is a level of transparency that is supposed to be had, where you have like, this thing is classified, therefore it takes place in this section of the White House. This thing is not classified, so the press are allowed to be here. This seems like a way to like use technology as a convenient gray zone, so where you get to do things that don't get to fall into either of those categories.
Even more sinister than that, this is potentially avoiding FOIA requests and records passing that point where they become declassified, because they're doing it on unofficial channels that can be deleted without anybody even knowing that it happened.
There isn't a guaranteed record this time around to actually utilize. That's another spoopy one.
Yeah, like you do a FOIA request. Well, I'm not going to send you my Signal messages because that's not supposed to be something that I'm even using. Therefore, it's not subject to the FOIA request.
Yeah, which is not like, it's a tiny bit tinfoil hatty to go, this is the reason they're probably doing that, but it also doesn't seem outside the realm of
at this point.
So that's where I was getting at, was like, yes, it seems a bit tinfoil hatty, but with this administration, is it though?
Is that Project 2025 explicitly recommends avoiding a paper trail, and this is one of the ways you do it. So like, is it tinfoil hatty to say the people that were like, their entire platform has been pulled right out of Project 2025? Is it tinfoil hatty to say this other thing that we're saying is a possibility with this, that is explicitly said in Project 2025, also a thing that they're doing? Like, I don't think that's tinfoil hatty at this point.
I think that it is, reflexively I look at it as tinfoil hatty, but in practice it's not. In terms of the actual like material world we live in right now, it's very likely not a conspiracy theory, quote, to say that that's the reason why they're doing it. But I can see, like, let's say, for instance,
they have referenced other Signal chats in the Signal chat that leaked,
which means that this is a thing that's happening in a bunch of places over a bunch of things.
And also, given that Trump has his habit of like running, like everywhere he goes, he like rips papers up.
Yeah.
And, like he instinctively tries to avoid paper trails. Like, I don't think it's tinfoil hatty to say they are maybe not they're maybe not coordinating to avoid a paper trail, but they are consciously avoiding a paper trail.
I can understand that perspective. Okay, so that one moves it further out of the tinfoil hatty thing, because like the The major component of a conspiracy theory is typically that there are a lot of disparate elements that just so happen to be working in tandem to achieve an end. That's where the conspiracy part of the theory comes in. But if they're disparate elements that just so happen to be all engaging in these same habits, and that's what makes it all look the same, that's less tinfoil hatty.
Oh yeah, apparently Signal can do auto delete as well. Were they set to auto delete? I hadn't read that.
Well,
but
they
yeah,
definitely weren't set to auto delete because the entirety of the chat got leaked. Also,
Yeah,
Robbie,
it's
thank you for resubscribing.
it's not auto deleting now. Yeah, so yeah, but basically, if you're not familiar, what happened is they had a Signal chat where they were talking about their war plans. Mike Walls, was it Mike Walls?
It was Mike Waltz.
Mike Waltz accidentally added a journalist who happened to be the editor for The Atlantic into the group chat where they were discussing war plans. The editor for The Atlantic did not say anything in the group chat. He just thought he was being pranked. But he, stayed in and stayed silent to see where it was going to go. And then they started talking about like, oh, it is now this time. We are going to drop bombs at this location at
and then
this
the bombs,
time.
And then the bombs started dropping. And he's like,
he was
okay.
Oh my God. And at that point, he's like, okay, I'm not allowed to be in this chat. I am leaving this chat, contacting all these people's offices and asking them for comment, and then publishing it while redacting all of what I see as classified information. All those people then went to Congress and were like, no, we didn't discuss anything classified. We didn't talk about war plans. No, there's nothing classified in there. And the editor-in-chief's response to that was, okay, y'all just testified that it's not classified. Here's the unredacted screenshots. He still redacted the name of the CIA agent that was in the chat, but that's the only thing he redacted. And
specifically, did you see the video of the hearing with Tulsi Gabbard?
No.
On this?
No, I did
Okay,
not.
so this is a link to that video. If you would like to play it, you can. You don't have to. I can summarize what happens in it, though. While she is being grilled on this, she is asked 3 questions. And if you're familiar with the Patrick, is this your wallet meme, that's all this fucking is. Guy goes, okay, were locations discussed in the Signal chat? No, sir, they were not. Were names discussed in the Signal chat? No, sir, they were not. Were times discussed in the Signal chat? No, sir, they were not. Okay, well, if names, locations, and times were not discussed in the chat, therefore, none of it is classified information, because those are the 3 criteria we look for classified information when it comes to OPSEC and military stuff. So if it's not classified information, then we should be able to have all of the reports on all of these chats divested to us, right? And she goes, actually, no, we can't do that. You would need to talk to the head of the CIA to see if that's a thing, if he could declassify those. And he's like, okay, so you're saying they are classified. You're saying classified information was mentioned in these chats. No, sir, I am not saying that. Okay, then declassify them. No, sir, I can't do that because...
I think my favorite part of the chat was Pete Hegseth saying, we are good for operational security. I mean, like,
no,
he
you're
texted
not.
to the journalist that was accidentally added to the group.
No, you're not.
That was my favorite one. But yeah, so this is one of those things where, like, all right, comparing to the Hillary Clinton email things, the whole thing with the emails was like, hypothetically, a bad actor could have hacked into her server and gotten access to sensitive information. Hypothetically, that could have happened. This is absolutely, you guys leaked sensitive information to it. Thankfully, it wasn't a bad actor or whatever, but like, what if it was? And also, one of the things that is kind of getting overlooked by a lot of people here is that, like, what they did was literally a war crime. Like, they're bombing a civilian building.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
The actual text in there was, "Hey, he went into his girlfriend's house. Now it's collapsed. Fist, America flag, fire."
Yeah. So like that's a war crime. Now, to be clear, it's a war crime that every U.S. president has, for the last like 30 years at least, has done. So like, it's not like it's a new war crime that like, oh, it's unprecedented. Biden wouldn't have done that. Obama would. No, Obama was arguably worse than Trump for drone strikes and shit. So like, that's something that's kind of getting swept under the table, but I feel like that's just because we're just used to American presidents being war criminals and nothing happening as a result of it.
Yeah.
Um, presidents commit war crimes. What? Indeed, they do. But where was I going with that? I forget. I started somewhere, but
there's a couple there's a couple other telling things. Or you do your thing so you don't forget it again.
Well, I was doing the comparison with Hillary Clinton's emails things. Is like hers was hypothetically someone that shouldn't have this information might get this information. This is absolutely, we know 100%. The whole reason we know about this is because someone who wasn't supposed to get that information got that information and got it accidentally because they were just carelessly added to the group.
Yep.
So like, this is a million times worse than Hillary's email server.
So two telling things that came from this. One, did you see Hegseth's response to this when he got off the plane?
I did, where he was swaying drunkenly back and forth.
He was that wasn't the part that got me, because like a person drinks alcohol while on a private plane. Okay, cool. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah,
what I do give a shit
but when
about,
it's Hegseth who says, "I will stop drinking if I am confirmed."
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I had forgotten about that. But private stupidities aside, what bothered me most about that, aside from his personal integrity, I don't give a shit about that. He doesn't have any anyway. What didn't surprise me was, as soon as he was grilled about that, he immediately fell into Hillary Clinton's emails. Mm-hmm. He immediately fell into the Russia conspiracy. He immediately fell into the good people on both sides, calling them all hoaxes. Instead of verifying whether or not operational security had been breached, he just started going, what about this hoax? What about this hoax? What about this hoax? What about this hoax?
Did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene being asked a question by a British reporter?
No, I didn't.
So she was being asked a question by a British reporter. She shuts her down, doesn't even let her get the question out, and was like, she was trying to ask the question, do you care about the American lives that were put in danger by this breach of security? That's the question that the British reporter was trying to ask, and she kept shutting her down, being like, I don't care about you because nobody gives a crap about you because you got problems in England that you got to take care of. You got to do you care about migrants? Racist. Yeah, no, she absolutely was being racist. She brought up like, oh, you don't care about migrants raping British citizens, so like you go report on that. I don't care about you. An American reporter then came back and she like called on the American reporter and was like, you're American, right? And he's like, yes, I am American. Okay, what's your question? My question
that's
is
fucking racist.
No, he was like, my question is, I would like you to answer her question. To which Marjorie Taylor Greene's response was, like, when asked, do you care about the American lives that were endangered by this breach of national security? Her response was, well, what about when Biden did blah, 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 blah,
So it's
blah.
just whataboutism. It's not...
So it's like, okay, bitch, who is in charge right now, Biden or Trump? If Biden is the president of the United States right now, then you can bring up things that Biden does wrong. Biden is some old guy who's retired now. Your guy is in charge. Shut the fuck up about Biden. What are your thoughts on this breach of national security that was perpetrated by the Trump administration? You can't blame Biden on this one. But, yeah, just the implications of this are just so large. Like, from every direction. Like, every single person that was in that Signal chat should have resigned by now. In any other administration, they would have been forced out if they didn't voluntarily resign.
Should have been, but I also want to do a tiny bit of math. Real quick, just a tiny bit. So, you mentioned the drone strikes from Obama.
Yeah.
So, under Obama, across 8 years, there were 574 drone strikes that we know of.
Okay.
Estimating in a life loss of about 3,700 something people. I don't know the exact numbers. In 2 years, during Trump's first presidency, he carried out 176 drone strikes. And if any of you were good at math, 574, let's make it 580 so it's a nice round number, divided by 8 for every year Obama was in office, that's about 70-ish drone strikes a year. So 140-ish drone strikes for 2 years. Trump was doing 170-ish drone strikes per 2 years. In terms of amount of drone strikes, I think Trump technically actually did more than Obama. Like, Obama is known for more for having the most drone strikes because he had more drone strikes than Bush, but drone technology for stuff like that became way more sophisticated and way more reliable during Obama's presidency. I don't think people remember the kind of technology we had access to during Bush's presidency. I'll go ahead and let you guys know, E-Bomb's World had visitors. If you would like an idea, Evangelion had recently come to the United States. If you would like an idea of what we were dealing with there, 4x3 was still considered normal.
I seem to recall hearing a thing where Obama had more drone strikes than Trump. But if I was wrong on that, I'm perfectly happy to be proven wrong about that. I mean, I don't know.
Let's see.
The drones are kind of war crimey no matter what.
They're war crimey no matter what. What I am trying to get specifically... Okay, so in the first...
Maybe I'm misremembering that because Lady Badass is saying it's confirmed that Trump did way more. Maybe I'm getting mixed up because was it Biden then that... did Biden come in and do a surprisingly low number of drone strikes?
I think it was that Biden did a surprisingly low number compared to Obama. But... Yeah, Trump authorized 74 drone strikes in his first 75 drone strikes in his first 74 days in office, which was a 5-fold increase over Obama's rate. It was later in Obama's presidency that he authorized more. Yeah, no, that's kind of weird that like Republicans latched onto that one really hard, and yet Trump has been doing or did more. Oh, that's why we don't have a lot of information after that. A lot of the information for Trump stops in 2019 because in 2019, after 2,234 drone strikes.
Is that when he signed the executive order being like, oh, we don't have to report these anymore?
Yes, he canceled the drone strike civilian casualty reports. So that's why I can't find a ton of data after this point. Because he started barring that data from American citizens. Yeah. I'm doing this on the fly. Fuck this administration.
And that's the first time round. Yeah, no, I remember that now that you bring it up.
Jump Point, thank you for giving out a community sub.
Yeah, so a lot of bad implications here, leading us into our next news story, which is... who exactly is running the government? Because the thing is, when Trump was asked about this, in any other administration, if there was a breach this serious, the chief of staff...
take responsibility.
Not even would you take responsibility, but the chief of staff would know, or would make sure that the president knows about this happening before the press have a chance to ask him questions about it. So the fact that... like his reaction when he was asked about it was, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. So like he doubled down on not knowing what the fuck is going on in his own cabinet.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a thing you should like be proud of as the United States
in any other administration, the chief of staff would make sure that the president knows what happened before reporters have a chance to ask him about it. So to have a president up there being like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened," that calls into question like, are you actually the president, or are you just letting other people run it? And I think we all know the answer to that. He just doesn't want to go to jail, and he wants to be giving speeches in front of people that applaud him.
Yeah,
that's all he really wants. So
I think his plan is to die while president, because then he never has to go to jail.
Yeah, but he wants that to be longer than 4 years.
I mean, did you see Steve Bannon on that?
Not recently, but I am aware of certain things that Steve Bannon has said about that.
So very recently, Steve Bannon was being interviewed on Fox News, and he said that a man like Trump comes around only once every few hundred years. While we have him, I want us to use him and rally behind him for as long as we can. So I'm here for Trump, even past 2028. And so Fox News host goes, now I know you're a smart person, and most people wouldn't give you this benefit of the doubt here, but because I know you're a smart person, Bannon, you do know that this is Trump's second term, right? And Bannon goes, oh, I know. We're working on that.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Fox News host asks him to clarify that, he's like, you can't just leave us hanging on that. And he goes, so I can't actually tell you what our plans are, but let's just say that we're thinking of a few workarounds to that.
Yeah, and there wasn't there.
That's fucking scary.
It is. Yep. And this is why, like, I think this is why people like us are always talking about, like, oh, if there are elections in 2026 and 2028, because the people on the other side seem kind of dead set on them not happening.
I think the plan, if I were to use the information that I have available and not springboard off of anything, I think the plan would be to emulate what the Chinese Communist Party and what Putin have been doing for years.
What? Trump wants to imitate Putin?
And in those countries, what they do is they have faux elections. And we know they have faux elections.
Yeah.
They have elections where they have a democracy where people are able to voice their vote. But the side effect of a significant amount of the populace voting a particular way is very, very bad. And again, I'm saying that I am operating off of information that is known. I'm not making any logical leaps. I'm just going to use examples that have happened within Trump's own presidency. When he did not win the first time, an assault on the Capitol happened with deaths.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not using any extra information. We know Trump likes Russia. We know that he is on better terms with Russia than most of our U.S. presidents have been.
He's on better terms with Russia than he is with U.S. senators.
We know that Trump also speaks very, very highly of dictators in Turkey and other nations. We know that this is a very common thing that he does. So you take that information, you take the January 6th riot, the fact that it happened, the fact that it took him being convinced by several people to actually calm the rioters down. You take that information and you have, okay, January 6th is as close to an emulation of the type of power that Trump would like to have. All he needs is the ability to have more power. I guarantee you, if a January 6th style insurrection were to happen again in Trump's presidency, it would be successful this time.
Oh, see, I was thinking the other way. If the Democrats pulled off their own January 6th, if he tries to go in for a third term, he would use that as the excuse to go in for a third term. Like, oh, I need to declare martial law now because of you terrorists.
Like, don't get me wrong, that's terrifying. Actually, now this is where I start working with unknown information. This is where things get a little more spooky, but this is also further divorced from reality. That's the nature of unknown information. However, it is known that one of the ways you can extend a presidency is if we are in all-out warfare. You can extend a presidency artificially by a president being in there. It was one of the conspiracy theories that the right wing used for Obama for years. If you remember the right wing talking points of he's going to enact martial law so that he can be a dictator forever. Mm-hmm. That's the thing he's going to do. If we use our known information, theoretical information, that a lot of what Republicans blame the left on for doing is projection. And this is true of most people in politics in general. But if we use that information, we know that the idea of utilizing a martial law or an all-out war or anything like that can be utilized to extend a presidency artificially. We know that they have thought about their enemies doing it, and we know that they've tried to do an insurrection. What would happen if, say, the United States were to do things, again, known information, were to try to invade Denmark, were to try to invade Canada, were to try to get heavily involved in a conflict that would cause the entire world to come crashing down on it? but would allow a presidency to extend. And again, we're not working with unknown information for this part. The leap is for the purpose of extending the presidency, though with Bannon's words, maybe that's not as much of a leap. It's a very scary line of thought when you consider that Trump has actively argued we should be invading Canada.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the thing that, like, with Trump not actually being in charge, he also has to get his cronies to, like, all agree on a plan. And that has often been his downfall, is that the cronies have different ideas about what to do. And so it doesn't actually happen effectively.
Thank you for the hydrate, Lamor Pinku. Yeah, I agree with that. That's why there's still a level of logical leap here, because like all of those.
To be clear, I am not putting any eggs in the basket of there are adults in the room that will stop things from going too far. It is that the children in the room want to go too far in different directions, and it'll only work if they all go in the same direction.
That is very, very fair. I guess for me, it is less of a logical leap if you assume that Trump has perfect control over everything, because at that point he can just make things happen the way that he wants. But if you've heard the recent information that documents have had to be simplified for him,
I have not, but that does not surprise me.
It leads me to believe that there's not a whole lot of Trump there in the brain to do these 4D chess decisions. And again,
there hasn't been like that's been the case for a while.
It's been the case for a while, but Trump being a master of 4D chess has been a talking point of the right for years. This has been a very common thing that has been used on Chan boards, that has been used in forums, that has been used on Discord servers, that has been used in private chat groups, and of course has been said by people like Tim Pool and people who are in the... It's hard to say the fringe media, because like YouTube's made a lot of fringe media not fringe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a very common talking point.
God, the YouTube algorithm has been recommending Bering and Sargon of Akkad to me. And I'm just like, fuck off with this noise.
Fuck off to both of those.
What made you think I was in any way interested in anything that those two have to say?
So, quick aside on the YouTube algorithm. So I love the Monster Hunter franchise. I've been playing it since the third installment on the Wii years ago. And the most recent game has been way easier than a lot of the other ones, much to my chagrin. I recognize that as it gets updates, it's going to get harder. That's the natural lifeline of these games. But because of that, I've been looking up videos on like what other people have thought about the difficulty of the game. And then I stumbled on a video from a small podcast. I'm not going to name it, but the people on the podcast were talking about this is what happens whenever normies get their hand on a game. It always happens when the normies get involved. And, you know, some game companies are based and they don't let the normies take it over. And I'm just like, I'm listening to this for like 3 minutes. And then I click away because, one, I've gained no information. I've just heard a bunch of buzzwords. Mm-hmm. But the types of people who I'm used to saying those buzzwords in that order are almost always really bigoted gamer nut jobs. So I'm just like, man, even if I agree with you that this game has been simplified and this game has been made easier to people, I don't want to watch your content because you can't talk like a normal fucking person. You sound like you're trying to parrot a right-wing audience, which makes me wonder what you watch on the regular. And if I'm watching a content creator, I'd kind of like you to be a better person than that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I never understood the whole, like, I'm all for difficulty sliders. I, like, especially with games nowadays being somewhat story-driven. Like, if you want people that, like, they don't want to have to worry about combat, but they want to enjoy the story, fine, make it easy for them. It doesn't, not everything has to be hard. And I say this as someone who is probably like one of the best players in the world who does not have any speedruns. at
for
Hollow Knight. Like I don't know where I would be in the rankings, but like you plunk me down with anyone who's played Hollow Knight, I will do at least as good as them for the most part.
You'll do much better than the average person.
Yeah, if you're just picking randomly, if you're picking like from the people who make Hollow Knight YouTube their thing, they will kick my ass. But like it's a notoriously hard game. And it took a hell of a lot of hours to get as good at it as I did. I don't it's one of those things where it's like, is that time wasted? I don't know. It was time spent enjoying myself, so maybe not.
As somebody who wants to play his like 17th playthrough of Banjo-Kazooie right now, I don't think it's time wasted to do something you enjoy.
Yourself. Yeah. But that's the thing, is that like I recognize that that's a hard game and it's not accessible to everybody. And maybe a difficulty slider would be good for that. There is a mod that makes it easier to play. It gives you like a little bit of extra life and makes your weapon a little bit stronger to start with.
I will say for Monster Hunter specifically, a system like that wouldn't work for 90% of the game, because the way the game is built, it is very much built for multiplayer from the ground up, and has been since Monster Hunter 2. And having everybody with equal difficulty there doesn't really work. So what the series has done for years is hunts exist in one of three categories: low rank, high rank, G rank, and those categories are where your difficulty of monster is. And for wilds, they've expanded it further to say, hey, G rank isn't out yet, because that's usually when the expansion comes out. But for monsters, you have your regular monster, then you have a tempered one, then you have like affixes that make it harder, and they all drop relatively the same amount of gear. They are the same kind of gear. They just drop more of it the more difficult it is. So you can get all the things and experience all the content by fighting the easier stuff if that's what you want. That's like a difficulty slider doesn't work so much for Monster Hunter, but having monsters that are naturally harder works better in that game's environment.
Jess says, I found out that in the Colorado Capitol there's a portrait of the governors and presidents, and the portrait of Trump is super ugly, and he cried out. All right, whatever. He complained about the portrait. Yeah, I saw the portrait. There's a portrait in the Colorado Capitol that Trump hates, and he was whining about how ugly it makes him look, and he wants them to replace it with a better looking one. And I saw the portrait. It's not that it makes him look ugly, it's that it looks more like the Alec Baldwin portrayal of Trump than it does Trump. That's like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, somebody did a portrait version of Alec Baldwin playing Trump. Oh no, that's the official portrait of Trump. And so like,
oh my god, he looks he looks like his face is terribly asymmetrical in that portrait.
Yeah, but so he hates it, so naturally we all need to share that picture as much as possible.
Also, remember, it is still a good idea to share copious amounts of Sonic the Hedgehog porn on Truth Social. It has never stopped being a good idea to do that.
Yeah. Also, there's what the fuck was it called? There's the manual that was disseminated in World War II, which was directed at bureaucrats for how they could sabotage the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it's called, but that is a very popular search term nowadays, because there are things that people in bureaucratic positions can do. Things like insisting on following everything to the exact letter. Like, follow all your procedures exactly as it should go, because then it makes them take longer to actually get shit done. Using inefficient tools to complete things. Like, if a big hammer is needed for the job, try it with a small hammer first, sort of thing. Obviously, bureaucrats aren't the ones using the hammers, but same idea.
Unknown Gloria, thank you for the follow, by the way. Yeah, that's like hyper malicious compliance.
Yeah.
Oh, if we're going to be going by the book and going by procedure, then we should recognize all the procedures as they were written, rule by rule.
I mean, y'all are saying malicious compliance, but there's also malicious non-compliance, where you purposefully misunderstand like assignments that you were given or orders that you were given. But Actually, one of the things that was done with this in World War II is the Citroën, the car company in France. When the Nazis rolled in, were like, "Hey, you make cars for us now." One of the things that they did was they modified their dipsticks so that the full lines were lower down than they should have been.
Oh, so the cars would just end up combusting because they didn't have enough oil.
Caused a bunch of them to get seized engines for lack of oil because they filled it up to where the dipstick said to fill it up.
Oh, well.
So that is not compliance, but that is malicious. But yeah, so we don't know how much Trump is actually in charge versus how much he's just letting his lackeys run wild. And considering his lackeys don't know what the fuck they're doing, the fact that they end up inviting journalists into signal chats is not really all that surprising.
Nope.
And that leads us into our next story, which Hegseth Waltz Gabbard private data and passwords of senior U.S. security officials found online.
Oh, see, I hadn't even heard about this one. I didn't know that their passwords.
Yeah, so it's there was a leak, or well, there wasn't a leak. This was after the leak. Reporters started doing things like going to person search engines and being like, "Oh, I wonder if they've been compromised in other ways." And they were able to find their personal phone numbers, their email addresses, their like all sorts of their personal information. It's unclear whether or not these personal phone numbers are used for government purposes as well. But given how they're group chatting stuff that should be done in an air gap situation. Oh yeah, also I don't think I mentioned this. Did you hear that one of the people that was in the group chat that was actually participating in the group chat was in Russia while it was happening? So
I'm not surprised, but no, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, no, they tracked his location data, and it was like, oh, he was in Russia while sending these messages. So he's in a foreign nation.
What you doing over there, buddy?
He's in a it was job related. He was supposed to be there, but it's a case of like he's in a hostile foreign nation connected to their networks on a non-approved group chat thing discussing sensitive military information. That is a big no-no. Lady Merlin says, I have engaged with malicious compliance when it came to the no pronouns rule for signature blocks. I took out my pronouns and the prefix miss and put in the prefix ms. Okay.
Yeah, so the pronouns block is in effect, but your gender is still viewable.
Yep. Absolutely.
So instead of malicious
signature blocks in the email. Okay, no, in my brain for some reason that was like I'm an author writing something or other with my publisher, and my brain went to I wrote a book and I took all the pronouns out of the book, and I'm like, but that would hurt you though. I don't know why I went there, but yeah. So they a bunch of their personal information, including some of their account passwords, which. You know, given I didn't highlight anything in this article, but given how easy it was to hack Trump's account during his first run as president, he was using like MAGA 2020 as his password. So given how easy that was, I'm willing to bet that these people are the kind of people who use the same password for multiple accounts.
Also, so Clueless Expert mentioned in your chat, Signal's end-to-end encrypted. I'm highly skeptical that Russia could have read those messages. So you're right and wrong. Signal is end-to-end encrypted on the message side. However, from the client side, there is a decryption key that is on your device. And if your device's decryption key is found via, I don't know, an RFID scanner, he happened to be in the fucking Kremlin, then you are able to decrypt those messages very, very easily. So your device may have sent messages that are secure, but if your device on your person is accessible by anyone, that security means nothing. Signal is software secure. The hardware is the weak point.
Also, cameras looking at the phone, or people looking over their shoulders.
Camera looking at the phone, people looking at over your shoulder. Like there's also the the low-tech dumb ways to deal with encrypted messages. Like,
That's the way most hacking happens.
oh yeah.
So like that, when I heard he was in Russia, that was what I thought was like his handler or whatever is just looking over his shoulder while he's typing these messages out, because I don't see these people being savvy enough to go somewhere private for that message thing. So even if the messaging app was 100% secure, the fact that he's doing it on his cell phone while in Russia still makes that a huge no-no. And like on top of that, like if so this is the thing, some of the people that were in the Signal chat had passwords that are publicly available on the internet. So if they're using the same password for multiple accounts, potentially someone at the Kremlin could have gotten into their Signal account.
Lenari says, are we sure he used Signal on his cell phone? So we are sure that he used Signal on a device on a wireless network from Russia.
Yeah, so most likely that was a cell phone, but it could have been a laptop that...
Like, it could have been a laptop as well, but I will be honest, most people don't use Signal from a laptop.
No.
Just in general.
Yeah, but and also on top of that, because it's not an approved method, they don't have like the extra steps for security or whatever. So like it's just the normal sign-in security, which if you're someone who knows what you're doing, it's not that hard to get around it.
I mean, to be fair, like most hacking is just done
but
to people.
Still, things like when Linus Tech Tips got hacked, I got myself a physical security key. So now every time I log into anything Google related, I have to have my physical security key with me. And that is my two-factor authentication. We don't do text messages, don't do emails or whatever, because those things can be grabbed fairly easily. And I actually almost fell victim to an attack that was one of those, like, they sent you a file or whatever and you double click on it and it's actually like a screensaver file or whatever. And I had the message had enough face validity that I just
that's how my account got stolen years ago when I lost my channel.
I know this is after that happened to you. So this is like my quick reaction to this was probably thanks to you, because I think this was actually before I got the physical key. But like I remember clicking on a file and like the email had enough face validity that I didn't really think about it too much, and then I clicked on it and was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Oh well, let's see what happens. And then nothing happened for a little while, and it's like, this is not the type of file that should take this long to open. Like, it was disguised as a PDF.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't take that long to open a PDF. So at that point I like it's actually happened on Wednesday. This is one of the times we canceled Twit tweets because I had a potential virus attack or whatever. So that's where I unplugged my computer and shut everything down immediately, and then like did everything like but without even turning it back on. I did a whole factory reset on everything and wiped everything. And
on a similar note, I had a computer get bricked because of something like that, where
I still have not plugged the hard drive that was running back in since that happened.
Good call.
It's just one of those, like, I probably could just wipe it and continue to use it, and there is potentially some stuff on there that I might need at some point, but I don't know, like, I don't know, whatever. I still have it in a caddy sitting in the closet. But
I love the internet.
But anyway, you know how they've been doing a bunch of deportations?
So, yes, I know that they've been doing a lot of deportations.
Do you know how Florida's planning on dealing with the labor shortage that's going to result from this?
Child labor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was sent to me by my anonymous source. Florida has got a bill on the table that is going to make it legal for kids to work.
The children, they yearn for the mines.
Mm-hmm.
As one does.
Yeah, so they are... So GOP lawmakers in Florida are considering eliminating all restrictions on how late and how many hours 16 and 17-year-olds can work, as well as ending their guaranteed meal breaks. So, like, we can make you work 12-hour shifts without a lunch break.
Man, wouldn't it be so cool if eggs just appeared on this congressperson's house? Anyway.
You mean Ron DeSantis?
Yes. I don't care
know
which
if he's...
congressperson. I don't give a fuck
which
one it is.
He's the governor. Is the governor in Congress?
Let's see here. Hold on. Just as a technicality.
So anyway, currently the Florida law prohibits 16 and 17-year-olds from working before 6:30 a.m. and after.
Okay, governors are not considered part of Congress. They are considered part of the executive branch, not the legislative branch.
Thank you, clueless expert, for the 5 subs and starting the hype train.
Oh, well. Fuck no, serious. Eggs are expensive.
It's a luxury to egg people's houses now.
It is. I had breakfast burritos this morning. I didn't even think about how expensive those technically are right now. It's
Republican State Senator Jay Collins sponsoring the legislation, but DeSantis is in favor of it.
Yay. I'm so happy. We're just rolling everything back. You know what's funny? It's so strange. When you look at the things that Republicans don't like, it's almost all stuff that the left wing of the United States has been fighting against for years. They don't like unions. We fought for unions. They don't like a lack of child labor. We fought to abolish child labor. It's so strange.
Yeah, well, here's the thing that, like, they're framing this as like a kids can work for their pocket money, and if a kid really wants to work overnight on a school night, we shouldn't stop them from that. But it's like, no, like, kids don't. Now those
kids are going to be even less educated.
Kids don't need a full-time job for pocket money that is going to interfere with their education.
Yeah. Also, clueless expert, thank you for the 5 gifted subs over on my channel as well. I see we are looking at the entire watering hole as a thing of toast, and you are buttering both sides of the toast.
There we go.
Got it.
There we go. But yeah, no, so like they're framing it as like, oh, well, kids want their pocket money or whatever. Like, when I was a kid, kids had jobs. So why can't kids get jobs anymore?
Man, it's so weird that as an adult, your job should be making a better world for your children. So I made a...
Well, and like, I'm not against 14-year-olds having a job. Like, I had a job when I was 14, and it gave me extra money that I could use to do what I wanted with. But I did not have a full-time job that was helping to pay the bills and, like, interfered with my school. I had a fucking paper route.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to have anything like that.
There are adults that do paper routes, and they do it as a full-time job where, like, it actually takes them that long to deliver. Like, I'm talking, I had to, like, walk around a couple neighborhoods and drop papers in their mailboxes for, like, maybe an hour after school. Like, this is not big money.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of a chore. Just a quick chore.
Yeah.
So, man, it is astounding to me. It is astounding to me that the solution to families don't have enough money is put their kids to work. The solution to got rid of...
the thing. That's the spin I put on it, because I know that's how this is going to end up happening. But the spin that they're putting on it is like, oh, well, we don't need foreign workers when we have, you know, a bunch of homegrown Americans that will do the work. And it just so happens that the homegrown Americans that we have are children that should be out playing.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Just being in a world where so many rights are being rolled away, and it's happening in the way that people better at predicting this shit said it would.
Yeah, so
we'd lose women's rights, and then everything else would start falling afterwards.
Yep. So Fennec says, you're assuming teenagers want to do that kind of work. They do not. So that's where I'm kind of going with the kids that are going to end up in these jobs are the ones from households that are desperate for money and need to do whatever they need to do to survive. And, like, I would much rather just give those people a social safety net where it doesn't matter what qualifications they have, they don't need to worry about where their next meal's coming from, because there are enough resources in the United States to feed everybody.
Axo says they want to get rid of abortions to get more kids to work. So, funnily enough, you're not super far off on that one.
Yeah, that's why we need Elon is all about having more babies.
Like, one of the main reasons. So the argument given is something Christianity, something not murdering children. Those are the arguments that are given for removing women's rights to choose, but the actual reasons for it are twofold. One, controlling women is way better for Republicans. But
Scott,
the other reason is forced breeding is way better for our labor.
Yeah. So Scott D says mandatory volunteerism is a thing. Want to graduate high school, work this miserable job, and log the hours. So that's in Ontario. It's actually required that you have 40 hours of volunteer work in order to graduate high school. It's 40 hours that you have 4 years to accomplish. But here we're talking about kids working 30-hour work weeks, and they're trying to remove the cap to where, like, right now it is capped at 30 hours. They want to remove that and make it more.
Karen Ambassador and Soccer are talking about usage of prisoners as slave labor replaced pre-Civil War. Yeah, the 13th Amendment.
They still do that, though.
Yeah, we did that a long time. We did that a long time ago, and we still do it now. I believe it was 13th Amendment. Oh, whoa. Where
for 10 bits, Clueless Expert says truly no cap.
Jesus Christ. Jesus, I'm so tired knowing that this is the world that I live in. This is the shit that I have to deal with. And the most frustrating part, right, is that for my local Democratic Party, the stuff that they are focusing on, aside from putting somebody up to fight Marjorie Taylor Greene, is getting people on the local level. So getting people for like a county commissioner and stuff like that is what they're trying to aim in, just to make sure that the seat flips. And I've been attending the meetings for the commissioner so that I have a grasp on, like, here's everything that's done on the job. And the vice president of the Democratic Party, I brought him with me to one of the meetings so I could just be like, this is the thing that I might be trying to run for. It's boring as shit, but
it's necessary.
Yeah, but it is entirely necessary to making the county run. It's a place
where you could be a bureaucrat doing that malicious compliance thing.
I don't know how much could be done on this level, because most of what you would be doing, if I were to get elected, most of what I would be engaging in is zoning laws. That's what most of it's going to be. And it's a lot of, like, now there is one thing that I would certainly be able to do is, like, make sure that the budget shifts more to the fire department as opposed to the police department. Like, that's a thing that I would have some control over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, to bring it back to what you were saying earlier about, like, they are pretending to care about certain things, but only to get what they want out of things. It's worth remembering that the people that are trying to roll back child protection laws about child labor and stuff like that are also the party that routinely falls back to the position of, but somebody think of the children. We're trying to protect the children because we need them to work on the farms, and in the mines.
It's so funny. The Republicans ask us to think of the children so often, and based on what happened in Tennessee, we know for a fact they're thinking of the children just a little too fucking much.
Was that Justin Acorn?
Not the Justin Acorn part. No, this is early. This is when the
other one?
This is the special marriages for straight couples in Tennessee that also allowed for child marriage. And when specifically pressed on the issue, the congressman said, "Oh, I'm aware of that loophole in there. I'm aware that that's there. Why the fuck did you allow it then? What is wrong with you?"
And okay, the worst part here is that when you started talking about that, I immediately went to...
You had multiple examples in your head.
Like, I just went to the most recent one that we talked about on this show. But, like, there are multiple examples of what you could have been talking about if you don't know what location it was based in, since you said Tennessee. But, yeah. That's how it goes. All right, we're going to end on a little bit of a positive note. So, did you hear that in Canada... So the federal government announced that they were running out of funds for the we did an electric car rebate where if you buy an electric car you get a rebate, and there were so many dollars put aside for that, and they just recently announced they were running out of funds for that.
I've not been aware of this, actually.
So Tesla's response to that, I don't want to say Tesla as a company, but like 4 particular Tesla dealerships, their response to that was like, oh, we sold 8,000 cars in this one weekend. Give us $42 million, please. Because the way those rebates work is it's an incentive to get consumers to buy the car, but the money from the rebate actually goes to reimburse the car company, because EVs are actually like the profit margins on them are super duper narrow. Like the reason they are so expensive is because they are actually really expensive to make. Like I actually saw the spreadsheet from the Chrysler dealership where we bought our hybrid. It was like the profit on that was like minuscule compared to any of the other cars. So that's how a lot of these dealerships make up for that, is like, okay, well, we can lower our price because they're offering this rebate, and that will make up for that, and then it's kind of a split the difference with the consumer sort of thing. And so the way what Tesla did was they like when they announced that the rebates were done, they're like, oh well, we sold all the cars, and that had the effect of not only like do they get $42 million between these 4 dealerships, but other dealerships selling EVs now can't access that money because Tesla grabbed it all.
Yay!
Yeah. So
Elon ruins more things.
This is not necessarily specifically Elon, but it is definitely the culture that he creates. Because remember, the dealerships are independently owned and all that. But the news today is that we are freezing the payments to Tesla until they're investigated, because it's kind of weird that the way these rebates work is they don't actually take into effect until the person picks up the car. It can't just be like you clicked buy on the website. You have to actually physically get the car before you can get the rebate, or before they can get the rebate. And so there was one dealership, one of the 4 dealerships sold like 2,500 cars in 2 days. Their lot only holds 200 vehicles.
Okay.
So it's just not physically possible for them to have sold that many in that time period. So yeah, no, they're not getting their payments until they go through an audit. So we froze all the rebate payments, and we also banned them from future EV programs. So if this gets reinstated, it doesn't apply to Tesla. So yeah,
well, that's good.
No rebate payments will be made until each claim is individually investigated and determined to be valid. So yeah, they tried to scam the government, and the government was like, we're going to look into this one.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing that the investigation's happening, especially since, let's be honest, when you're buying a Tesla, you're mostly paying for a voucher anyway, and the fucking things keep falling apart, especially Cybertrucks recently. So, like...
Speaking of the Cybertruck, this was sent to me by, I want to say it was Fennec. And he said, if I have to see it, you have to see it. And, well, if I have to see it, you have to see it.
Great.
So I did upload this to my burner channel to make sure that it's not going to trip the copyright bots, but it's not necessarily the most consistent thing in the world. So, yeah, enjoy this AI slop song. I'm convinced that this was AI generated lyrics that were then provided to an AI song generator that then turned it into a song, because there's just too much about this that just doesn't seem good. And I'm playing it at 1.5 times speed because fuck that noise. That's why I'm doing it in VLC instead of just baking it into OBS.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's fun. Oh, god damn it.
What happened?
You weren't able to hear that, were you?
I heard it perfectly fine.
Oh, well, chat wasn't able to hear it.
I don't care about them.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. By the way,
you know
just
what?
a fun thing.
I have too many times. There have been too many times where I have been sitting here with complete silence for chat.
God damn it! I shouldn't have said anything. My chat rebelled against me on that, and Dragon Sparkin 90, 50,000 channel points. Fuck you. Oh, woo. There, you got your thing.
But also, I mean, technical difficulties. So
You've been a
nope, not that one.
Please don't tell me.
Nope, not that one. What does mommy need?
God damn.
Nope, not that one. Where did I put it?
Oh, whoa.
No,
Yeah, you're having more technical difficulties, aren't you?
I was looking for everything's computer.
That's.
But apparently, I don't know. I still haven't figured out how to use my Go XLR after all these years.
Axo, thank you for redeeming your points for an OWO and being on the right side of history.
There we go.
He gave us cars that drive so fast, made rockets built to blast.
Oh, also, she's really bad at lip syncing.
Yeah?
Like, she's just completely separate from, like, her lips are just completely separate from the words so many times in this.
Oh, thank you, Elon Musk. He took over Twitter's reign. He saved free speech for all, eliminating woke pain. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. Let's occupy Mars. Let's occupy Mars. And making kids to keep mankind alive. Neuralink is on the way. Boring tunnels save the day. Oh, thank you, Elon.
Okay, is anyone on that side actually proud of the boring tunnels?
Also, just sidebar, when did the right wing go from Neuralink is the mark of the beast to Neuralink will save our lives?
When Elon
Neuralink will
joined
make
them.
everything better.
Yeah.
Oh my god. By the way, just on a quick note, you know the idea of pedocon theory, right?
No.
Pedocon theory is that a majority of conservatives are pedos. That's it.
Okay, I'm aware of it then.
Okay, cool. So I just did a quick, this is not good research, mind you, but I just did a quick skimming of every federal public sex scandal in the United States from 1969 to now. 28 of them involved Democrats and 51 of them involved Republicans. And the reason I chose that time is that was enough time to make sure that we got the modern Republicans that are post-Nixon and Reagan, not the Republicans that were trying to figure out what the fuck do we do about the original New Deal.
Yeah.
So Southern strategy Republicans, you almost double the Democrats in amount of pedophiles and public sex offenders you've had. So just fun stuff. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we have to keep playing this because I don't think we've gotten to the masturbation joke that I don't think she noticed.
Let's do it.
Musk. Fighting fights for freedom's sake. Politics, he's not afraid. He won't just sit and watch. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. One more kid, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand.
I'll launch this rocket with just one hand.
God damn it. One more kid, one more brand. That is the most, like, my life is only for breeding and buying shit statement I've ever fucking heard.
Given the fact that his kids are allegedly all IVF and sex selected to be male, having one more kid while launching rockets with just one hand, it's too on the nose. Like, I guarantee you this whole thing was AI done.
Mm-hmm.
And the AI just was completely unaware that it had made a hilarious sex joke, because the AIs are programmed to avoid sex jokes at all cost.
Yeah.
And the fact that she took that and ran with it and just didn't notice is just hilarious to me.
Optimus, Cybercap 2, what can this man do?
A lot.
It's taxes, fraud, some solid memes.
Taxes and fraud, he does that, yeah.
He does that. This is true.
Corruption won't stay, and dope saving USA. So here's to you, our tech tycoon, saving Earth and Mars real soon. We thank you, Elon Musk. One more kid, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand. Optimus, Cybercat, do what can't this man do? Oh, thank you, Elon Musk.
Yeah. So
I
that's
hate it.
yeah, no, me too.
I hate it. I hate it so goddamn much. And you brought it into my ears.
I did. I stuck it right in your ear holes.
You did. And now it's wiggling around in there and it won't leave. Also, Brooke, thank you very much, Brook 2 Valley, for the raid. We are covering stuff that makes me want to claw my eyes out.
I hope you got here after the video was done.
They got here right after the video was done.
Oh,
all
good.
85 of them.
Oh, good.
Gender enjoyer, thank you for the follow.
You did not.
Axolotl lover, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, so you were saved from the Elon Musk I really want to suck his dick video.
He blew thousands into making sure he made me. He blew thousands, all right. MG, Zeke, and Axolotl lover, thank you both for the follow. Jeez.
Yeah, I was good timing on the raid though. So yeah.
Very good timing. You avoided a lot.
I mean,
You avoided a lot.
I could play it again.
You could actually. You know what? Torture them. Fuck it.
I'm not doing that.
Do it.
No,
Do it.
I'm not doing that.
You won't.
I'm not doing
Do
that.
it. You won't.
No, I won't.
You won't.
I won't.
Me, am I right? Thank you very much for the follow as well.
I am going to put on my Gay Unicorn Gary hat.
You know what? Gay Unicorn Gary would play it.
Gay Unicorn Gary would play it, but I'm not Gay Unicorn Gary. I just have his horn up my ass. And if you want your Gay Unicorn Gary's horn up your ass, go to merch.vicerhino.com.
So I just went over to Chat GPT and I asked it to write me a song about how Vice Rhino won't play the Elon Musk song. The song's title is Vice Rhino Won't Play the Song.
Are you going to read us the lyrics? Are you going to read us the lyrics?
I said, play that track. It's a jam to behold, but he shook his head with a heart so cold. Not today, not this time, he replied with a grin. Told me I'm crazy. Where do I begin?
It's so bad.
It's terrible.
Why does anybody think AI is good at this? Like, the person who made that video had it generate the words, read them over, said, this is good, put it into one of the fucking song generators, and was like, make a song to these lyrics. It's like, I think this was a two-step process. I spent way more time thinking about this than I probably should have. So like they actually did, and then they got it out and they were like, hey, this is good enough that I am going to learn the words so that I can pretend to lip sync to it while in the back of my $100,000 glued together Cybertruck.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. The accidental penis joke was funny though.
Tarn Hosser, thank you very much for the follow as well. Jump Point says the AI we have right now will never be useful for something more than an experiment. So I did use AI to build a Magic the Gathering deck once, and it used cards that physically could not exist in the deck that I told it to make it for. It had the wrong amount of cards. It was awful.
There are applications for generative AI, well, not necessarily generative AI, but for
large language models.
For this sort of what we are calling AI currently, because it's not really AI. That's why they've started differentiating between what we're calling AI now and general AI or AGI. So there are applications for AI that we have now, which is like machine learning and predictive, similar to large language model stuff. Like it's being used in research for protein folding, and it can like. So what it's good for is it can figure out of the bazillion potential shapes for a protein to take, it can figure out that like, oh, well, these 50 or so shapes will likely bind with this receptor.
I mean, that makes
and
sense.
Then a human takes over at that point and is like, okay,
Yeah.
which ones actually will? Because it's fucking AI. Half of them don't, because it hallucinated. But a lot of them do. And that is a useful thing that it does that would normally take researchers years that this AI can now do in like days or weeks. So that is... so I don't know if it's... like... I'm not a fucking expert. I don't know the difference between a large language model and a generative thing that they use to do pictures or what, but like this is technology that came on the heels of large language models coming out. This was like ChatGPT came out and then immediately scientists started using a similar technology for protein folding.
Machine learning's just an umbrella term, and large language models fall under that umbrella term. That's all. A large language model is just machine learning when applied to language.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that they probably were not using large language models for this, because a protein is not a language to the best. Well, I mean, maybe it's being treated as...
It's the language of God.
Well,
DNA is the Bible of the body.
it's the amino acid sequences, so maybe it is being treated as a language, and it is a large language model. And there's instead of feeding it in the rules of how English works, they feed it in the rules of this protein is attracted to that protein. This amino acid is attracted to that. I mean, I don't know. I'm talking way out of my depth here, so like, just assume that I'm spewing nonsense at this point.
Also, Dragon Fruitsafish is actually asked to hear the Elon Musk song now.
One person asked doesn't mean I got to do it.
Okay, well then we can just have
when Dragon Fruitsafish comes over to my channel and cheers me 500 bits or some shit.
I see how that works. I see how that works.
There
you
are
can
two of us, and
me.
only one of us is not provisionally credentialed by the Creator Accountability Network.
You're entirely right. I am provisionally credentialed.
Okay, Fennec on my side is saying subject more people to this hot mess for my amusement. Fine.
There you go.
Fine. I'm putting it on 2x speed this time though.
Oh, it's going to sound ridiculous that way.
It is going to sound ridiculous that way, but I don't want to... Like, 1.5 speed was too slow. Where the fuck is my... I closed the folder that I had it in, and because I was doing it in... Nope, that's the wrong...
Axo says, sorry, but older text-to-speech voices suck ass, and I like it when it sounds like someone talking and not like glass. The only choppy text-to-speech I'll accept is Miku. Look, I will always accept Miku, no matter how choppy her voice sounds. Miku's fucking great.
Okay, so...
This is where I should play the Domino's Hatsune Miku ad. Have you heard of Hatsune Miku? Domino's is partnering with Hatsune Miku.
No.
Gave us cars that drive so fast, made rockets built to last. Oh, thank you, Elon Musk. He took over Twitter to reign. He saved free speech for all.
Did he?
Eliminating war pain. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. Let's occupy Mars. Let's occupy Mars. And making kids to keep mankind alive.
There's your great replacement conspiracy theory.
Thank you, Elon Musk. Fighting fights for freedom's sake. Politics, he's not afraid.
See, like, that line right there, like, that is probably, like, there are a lot of giveaway lines that show that it's made by AI, but the whole politics, he's not afraid. Like, that is very reminiscent of something that ChatGPT would spit out.
Yep.
It just, like, that, like, no human being would write that because it just does not flow. The question mark doesn't come across in song form. Like, no, that's just, no. It's slop.
You won't just sit and watch. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a...
Also, Starlink doesn't use lasers, for the record. If it did, that would be very dangerous.
I think it is what happens when somebody who doesn't know how technology works, in it, like from the ground up, asks a technology to make a song for them.
Yeah. Also, when I hear about Starlink and lasers, I immediately think of Marjorie Taylor Greene and her Jewish space lasers. Like, if it did use lasers, it's Nazi.
It would catch California.
It's Nazi space lasers. If it actually used lasers,
It would catch California on fire.
So Conton83 says Mark Rober has proved why Tesla's self-driving system is a bad system. Yeah, so if you're not familiar, Mark Rober put his Tesla self-driving thing. He gave it the Wile E. Coyote test and was like a wall that was painted to look like the road continued, and Tesla just fucking smashed right through it. And what's funny about that is that Tesla stands are coming on the, oh, well, he was using the wrong hardware version and the wrong software version. If the updated version doesn't do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, no. Who fucking cares? He's using his own personal car. This is a car that is on the road with software that is called autopilot, which, yes, that is the older version of the thing, but like it was still being advertised.
But it was still street legal. It
was still street legal, is being advertised as can drive itself. Like, I don't know the nuances of the difference between autopilot and full self-driving, but Musk has been promising that like level 5 autonomy since 2016. So like, it doesn't matter that the newer ones do better. The fact that these ones that are still on the road and being advertised as can drive themselves can't do better than that. That is the issue. So like, and also what's really funny about that is that like when people accused him of lying just to make Tesla look bad, he came out and was like, no, man, like I like my Tesla. I'm going to be like, I was looking to upgrade it and I'm going to be buying a new Tesla soon. So like, he was doing the Mark Rober thing where he's excited to find out what happens. But yeah.
We're not done torturing people with this thing again.
Yeah, anyway. No, we're not. We still got 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
A master plan for our lives. One more kid, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand.
There's the penis joke, just in case you missed it.
I love launching rockets with my left hand.
With your left hand? You do the stranger?
Well,
no, the stranger's where you sit on it, isn't it?
I need the right hand for the mouse.
Oh, see, I just move the mouse to. That's why you have an ergonomic keyboard that's split in the middle, because then the mouse just goes in the middle and it's easy to get with your left hand.
Yeah, I'm fine just using my right hand. It's perfectly okay. I read most of my porn anyway.
Optimus, Cybercat, what can't this man do? It's taxes, fraud, some solid memes, corruption.
He can't do taxes. Yeah, we know that.
He does do fraud though.
Saving USA. So here's to you, our tech tycoon, saving Earth and Mars real soon. We thank you, Elon Musk.
Saving Earth and Mars. He's saving Mars.
He's going to save Mars.
What does Mars need saving from at this point?
It's going to save Mars from what we're going to do to it if we get to Mars? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
More kids, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand. Optimus, Cybercat, what can this man do? Oh, thank you, Elon Musk.
Also, fuck you, Pernia, making me say ooh in response to all of this. What is wrong with you? Why have there been 2 so far? But at least do them.
You're spanking because you've been a bad girl.
I want to die. At least do them when Rhino's not here, so that his editor isn't clipping all of them, so that Rhino gets a giant fucking sound bank of them. God damn it, Jump Point, you too. Stop. Fuck off. I have to go to the gym after this. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? Okay, shall we move on to tweets?
You're very lucky that you're not going to be in the States anytime soon. Why so many of you? Fuck. Dami Samara as well with an how many of you have oohs stuck in your fucking things? How many of you?
You kind of did 2 there.
I did not do 2.
You did. You said it twice.
Kill me. At least Arachne's on the right side of history with an ooh. Ooh.
Fennec says they have enough for an ooh. Do it, Fennec. Do it.
God. Why do you have so many? Stop watching my channel and accumulating these fucking points. Go watch the Magic the Gathering channel. That shit's not live. It's fine. There's a part of me that considered doing a subathon, and I just can't bring myself to, because it's gonna make people have so many fucking points.
Didn't you not do the last one? I'm waiting.
I did all of them.
Oh,
What?
Okay, I thought there was another one.
Nope. Wait. Nope. Species Demina just posted one as well. Fucking.
Oh, well.
There.
Can get so many MP3s this week.
Uh-huh.
You remember when I like played your channel while I slept for like 3 months so that I could redeem one?
Yeah, see, unfortunately, I didn't realize that economies of scale are my worst enemy. Cinder! What the fuck?
Oh, well.
There! You even got a bit of my death rattle in on that one, I guess.
Okay.
Debonsk, thank you for being a better person with an oh, well. You're a better individual.
We do have to get to the tweets at some point.
Fine.
All right, starting off with Chuckles. Charlie Kirk.
Oh boy.
This is the one that you sent me. This looks like it was a YouTube,
Not even a tweet.
YouTube
I took
response?
that from his YouTube channel.
Yeah. What's funny about this is you sent it to me and I saved it. And I always title on like first name and then a number so that if I save multiples from the same one, it goes in order or whatever. So I saved this one as Chuckles1. I was like, what are the odds that I'm going to come across another Charlie Kirk one? You probably don't need the one. Whatever. I'm going to leave the one there. And then immediately I saw a tweet of his that I pulled. So there are 2 Chuckles today. But he says the real scandal would have been if we discovered J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, etc. were saying one thing to voters in public while completely contradicting themselves in private. Instead, we have clear...
thing that happened?
That is what happened. But he says instead we have clear symmetry and consistency of messaging and ideology. We know these men actually believe what they're saying in public. So I feel so like, yeah, there's that whole J.D. Vance. Excuse me. There's that whole J.D. Vance was disagreeing with Trump.
Think of the posture check. Ow.
So yeah, there was that whole thing where like J.D. Vance was disagreeing with the president about the attack or whatever, but was like going to be playing along publicly for the sake of appearing unified. So like that is what happened. So like him saying that like, oh no, we're like everybody says the things that they believe publicly as well as privately. That's just gaslighting and a lie. But I feel like he's kind of telling on himself here with this. Is like, if our direct message is leaked, my concern would not be to prove that I say the same things in private as I do in public. Like that, I'm not going to be like, oh well, you know what? Yeah,
I'm not super concerned about my DNs going away.
Yeah, like. Okay, let's make it more like if we were in like some top level government position and we did something on a messaging app that shouldn't have, and then that leaked, I would be more concerned about like, okay, how did the leak happen? How do we stop it from happening in the future? What information leaked? What other potential leaks are there that are like sensitive information that shouldn't be public? I would not then be like, last thing on my mind would be like, oh, do I say the same thing? Like, do I espouse the same positions privately as publicly? But maybe that's just because I'm such a bad liar that like I can't pretend to hold positions that I don't.
It's way more convenient to just not lie. Like when you lie, you're not just saying it the one time. You're having to remember to say it consistently every time over and over again, to the point where if I forgot the words I said, even if I like completely meant them when I said them, I worry that I might look like a liar if I say something that goes against them afterwards, merely because I forgot the way I worded them earlier. Like, it's easier to not have to keep up with shit in general.
Yeah. So like that's what stood out to me about this is like it's not like, for him it's not about the security breach and the fact that like this is Clinton's emails on steroids. It's not about that. It's about, oh, but they aren't lying about the things that they believe. Like, okay, who fucking cares? We all know that they're deplorable people who believe deplorable things. But if their DMs leak, there would be so much porn. I assume you're talking about our DMs? There's surprisingly little porn in our DMs.
Most of the porn you're going to find in our DMs is actually just in my Discord server. Like, you can just go there and it'll be there instead.
Yeah, it's mostly like fan art that has been done of us that Cirrus shares with me. And part of that is Like, direct message decorum. I don't send naked pictures to people unless I know for a fact that they want them.
Yep.
And Cirrus knows that if you guys draw naked pictures of us, I want them.
So I actually had a friend a few years ago. I still have the friend now, but when our friendship began, I heard from another friend that their opinion was that I said one thing in my videos about politics on my channel, and then I would not really believe those things. And then I started hanging out with a friend who said that more, and they ended up walking back on that when they were like, "Oh, actually, no, he's not just calling himself a socialist."
So, if anything, I have found that you are like, okay, I'm sorry, I don't actually watch much of your other content.
That's entirely fair.
But I have found that, at least for the watering hole, you are much more reserved when you've got the public eye on you than you are in the DMs.
I tend to be a little more verbose,
so it's like
in the DMs than how I like. It's the same opinion.
I don't know if I'd say
just
verbose.
They're louder.
Yeah, it's the same opinion, but you don't have to say things like you don't have to dance around the things that could get both of our channels taken down.
I don't have to dance around what I would like to happen to Charlie Kirk in the next 24 hours. Like that. Yeah. That's how that. Like, I don't
have
like
to pretend
him.
like we're thinking a meteor is going to hit the White House.
Yeah, it's a different vibe while still being the same.
Yeah, it's like everybody knows you hold those opinions, but you don't have to worry about your livelihood going away if you see them there.
So I was playing Monster Hunter on stream with a couple of my IRL friends, and somebody in chat mentioned, I forget what it was, but I remember my friend Biminum's response to it was just reading the person's thing in chat and just went, "Do you think this guy shuts up about politics when he's around us?" No. And I'm just like, I didn't realize I talked about it that much outside of work, but I guess so.
I mean, what else do you talk about nowadays?
I mean, we got.
I can tell you how annoying my kids
dragons.
are being. You want to hear about that?
We have Mitsuzune coming out in Monster Hunter Wild soon, and it's one of my favorite monsters, and I need to 3D print a new one. I'm happy I get to kill it again. That makes me excited.
I haven't set my 3D printer up since we moved, and it's partially that I don't have a great spot for it, but it's also partially because I have the bamboo, and they've had their whole firmware thing where, like, if you update the firmware, then suddenly you're locked into their shit forever. And if you don't update the firmware, they're like...
It stops working?
Well, there are workarounds that you can do to get it working again, but then, like, you can never update your software on your computer again. You always have to either use an old version of Bamboo Studio, or you have to use one of the other... that's one of the things that they're locking out, is you can't access it using other open source slicers, like Orca Slicer or whatever. But if you want to use Orca Slicer, you can you can on the old firmware, but if you accidentally upload it, it's a whole thing, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to deal with that. And there's part of me that's just like, I don't care if the Chinese government knows what I'm printing, so I will just update it. But at the same time,
print nothing but penises.
I have a penis T-Rex that I printed.
Yeah, but print more of them. That said, this is a very good time.
So here we go. Sombretta says, "Dear Lord Vice Rhino, of bamboo is worse." So here's the thing. I like 3D printing for 3D printing. I do not like 3D printing for fidgeting with things, or for tinkering with your printer. And when I bought the bamboo, the reason I bought the bamboo is because it was a 3D printer that it just comes and everything is automatic. All the bed leveling and all that shit is completely automatic, and it just works. And before I had that, I had the Prusa Mark III.
Mm-hmm.
And between the two, like, Mark III, great printer, fantastic printer. But I have had to tinker with the bamboo a lot less than I did with the Mark III. And so, like, if you like actually printing things, now I know that other company, like I think Crealty has one now that is very close to being pretty much the same experience. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, if it was available when I was looking into a 3D printer when I bought the Bamboo, then I probably would have gotten that one, but it wasn't. So I got the Bamboo.
I can say from experience going from Crealty's Ender series going to my FlashForge, the lack of maintenance is the only reason that I do 3D print at all. And from a consumer grade 3D printer perspective, it is a very commonly held understanding that Bamboo is best in class for consumer grade 3D printers, period, and has been since they released their recent models like 2 years ago. Like, they usurped most of the industry. The reason that they are fighting to have
came out with a
proprietary
new
software
one that I kind of want, where it's now a combination 3D printer and laser cutter.
Yeah, like I don't have a Bamboo 3D printer, but my current 3D printer is based off of the Bamboo software and hardware. And I'm gonna be honest, any opinion that's like, hey, this thing is the worst, it's you are in the minority. I promise you.
I think when they're saying Bamboo is the worst, they're meaning like the way the company is behaving.
The company,
which
I can agree with.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I could argue that maybe they're not the worst, like if you're comparing them to Tesla. Like
in the realms of like consumer grade 3D printers.
Yeah, it's not open source friendly. And that's been a criticism against them for like long before their update issue. Like people have been warning, oh, you buy a Bamboo, you're locked into their ecosystem. And like, yeah, they're allowing Orca Slicer now, but they could turn that off in the future. And then they did. So it's like, yeah, no, I get it.
Sombrina says it doesn't help if best in class is garbage class. Okay, so you understand those words don't mean anything, right? Like, the way that this conversation has gone,
so here's the thing. Like, I still have the Prusa. It is still a good printer. Yeah. The Bamboo is a better printer that is easier to print with. If the only thing you care about is printing things, and you don't care about open source, you don't care about security, because that's another concern with it, because like we don't actually know how secure it is. But like if you don't care about that stuff, you just want to print your trinkets, then it actually is a really, really good printer.
And that's the experience I've had with the FlashForge as well. Like when you say a statement like it doesn't help that best in class is garbage class, that's a way not to have a good conversation, but to simply shut down conversation.
Well, like, and again, like if you're talking about the company behavior, yes,
we can agree.
I can say it's in garbage class. If you're talking about quality of a machine, the Bamboos are actually really good. I'd
say that there really aren't that many.
I get it. It's you're okay to have these strong opinions. I get it. Like I said, there's a reason I haven't turned mine back on since I moved, which was like 2 months ago. And I love 3D printing stuff. I love it. But I haven't turned it on because I'm not sure what to do here. Because I don't like how the company is behaving. I get that. So like I'm not disagreeing with you with that, but it is objectively a good 3D printer as far as the hardware, like the machine itself is a good machine.
Yep. Also, in terms of MakerBot versus Bamboo, for the last year, most of the conversations have been people moving from the MakerBot ecosystem to the Bamboo ecosystem and saying that the Bamboo ecosystem is better in general.
I've never used MakerBot stuff, so I'm not going to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I personally have not used one, but because of my tendency to hyperfixate on things, when I did get my FlashForge and I started like researching a bunch of researching all the different filaments, all the different brands, all the everything, the commonality was MakerBot users, Crealty users, everybody moving over to Bamboo.
So Hackaday posted a software fix for the Force ecosystem. Is that the one where you have to disconnect it from Wi-Fi and you can never update it again? Because that's the thing. One of the things I liked about it was the fact that I can just hit print from my computer and it prints. I don't have to fidget with the little mini SD card things.
But that all said, my opinion is not a stupidly strong opinion held, by me. Mine is me going over the information that I know of from the community at large And so, just in general, your opinion is one I've heard that is unique amongst that particular ecosystem.
Well, apparently the Hackaday one's new, so you can still remote print with that.
See,
I'll have
that's
to- I'll have to
actually
look into that.
really good then.
Yeah, because that's the main thing, is that like where I'm thinking of putting it is in the basement. So like if I just want to start a print, I don't want to have to get up and go to the basement.
Yeah, you need the remote print for that. Yeah,
Because otherwise I have to figure out how it can stay in my office, which, I mean, right now it's the shelf that my router is on, so it is in the office. Anyway, we've got through one tweet in half an hour.
We did. Go us.
And it's Chuckles again for the next one.
Oh boy.
So he says, Vice President J.D. Vance to young Marines at Quantico. So technically it's a J.D. Vance tweet, as repeated by Charlie Kirk. He says, we don't care who you are, where you came from, we don't care what skin color you are, we care about excellence and we care about patriotism, and if you are awesome and you are a patriotic young Marine, then we are going to do everything we can to make you the most lethal fighting force the world has ever seen, as long as you're not gay or trans.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you actually do care about some aspects of them just a bit.
Yeah, like if you are actively taking down web pages for everyone who is black or a woman, and actively trying to expel trans people from the military, then you can't say that you don't care about skin color or who you are or where you came from. Like, if you actually didn't care about that, you wouldn't be actively seeking to exclude them.
Yeah, at least there's not 14 American flags there.
Yeah. I mean, it's Charlie Kirk, so you know he wanted to. But, yeah. Colin Rugg says, a family member of mine sold their Tesla to protest Elon Musk, so I decided to buy one to even things out. Imagine making a decision as important as what car you're going to buy just to
For
own the
political
libs.
reasons.
Just to own the libs. Like, I can't imagine, like, and I get that, like, there's people that work in the factories or whatever, like, there can be a brand loyalty where it's like, I build GM, so I buy GM sort of thing. And I kind of get that. That actually makes a little bit of sense. But, like, it was just like, oh, someone I know protested Elon Musk by getting rid of their Tesla, so I bought a Tesla. Like, that just screams.
It makes you sound
that,
like an idiot.
Yeah, no, like, that's not how you buy a car. Like, did you kick the tires first? No.
You just bought it to own
What
the
does
lid.
kicking the tires do? I don't fucking know, but it's something you're supposed to do when you buy a car. But that's the thing. Like I bought a Hyundai. You know why I bought a Hyundai? Because I have experience with Hyundais, and they have every Hyundai I've owned, which granted was only 2 before this one. But like both of them were extremely reliable cars that were in the shop, very minimal, and they were both fun to drive. If Hyundai didn't have a car I liked, I probably would have gone to Nissan, because that was the other car. Like the last car I got before I got my previous Hyundai was a Nissan, and it was a little beater car. I paid $1,000 for it. Like my intention was, I just need a car to get me through this year, and then I will drive it into the ground, and when it finally dies, I will replace it with something hopefully better. But that thing lasted me 4 years. And the only thing it ever went to the shop for is it had rusty brake lines. Aside from that, it was just normal oil changes. And it was like, it was a 10-year-old car. It came with a dead spider trapped in the dashboard. That was there when I got it. It was there when I got rid of it. I named it Frank. And it was just like, it was not a particularly nice car. It wasn't a fun car to drive, but it worked, and it's kept working. And as long as I just kept doing oil changes, it just didn't need any maintenance. So it was like, yeah, no. And that's my experience. Now I get that personal experience is not necessarily universal. Like, I hear there are people that like Chryslers. My experience with Chrysler is that I bought one brand new, and it was in the shop more often than my $1,000 beater car.
My experience has been, I don't have a particular set of experiences with vehicles other than don't have a Volkswagen if you're in America because it sucks to repair them. That's really all I've got. It's not that it was a bad vehicle, it's that repairing it costed more dollars than I could handle.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you're worried about repairs, I think Hondas are the cheapest. I drive an 18-year-old Nissan. It's a stick, never broken down. Yeah, that you probably got my car after I sold it. 'Cause it would be about that old right now. Does it have a spider in the dashboard? But yeah, no. So that's how I would buy a car. Like, these are the brands that I have good experiences with. GM was okay.
Lady Badass says, I don't have a Volkswagen in general because Nazi car. Is that really a fair criticism of them in 2025?
I mean, if we're going that way, buy the Citroen, because they messed with the dipsticks.
Like that's a good reason not to buy a Ford too, because Henry Ford was in fact in everything but political affiliation a Nazi.
Well,
like,
I mean, he was a Nazi before the Nazis.
Yeah. Like, I'm not 100% certain if that's like a fair assertion anymore when it comes to various people, or not for like various distributors.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tesla's got a lot of work to do if they want to recover their brand.
Hey, we can shut the entire factory down. Fuck it.
Some things are better to just burn down. Metaphorically, that was a metaphor, YouTube.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. That means Mark Zuckerberg can get it too.
My mom was a hardcore Toyota fan. Yeah, I've never had a bad experience with a Toyota.
Badass says, I don't buy Ford either. That's a dodge of the point. I used Ford as an example. I used Ford as another example
because Ford was a Nazi, basically.
Yeah, because Ford was a Nazi. But like the question
he
was
a proto-Nazi. I think we should.
The question was not the whataboutism of, so you won't buy a Ford. Like, I'm not that fucking stupid. My question was, do you feel like that's a fair assumption?
I feel like
like
Tesla is the modern equivalent of the Volkswagen.
I can agree with that very, very much.
But I mean, to be fair, like, the reason Volkswagen is called Volkswagen is because like that the what became the Nazi movement kind of coagulated out of disparate individual movements that were referred to as Volkish in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm in the book that I'm reading right now, Gay Berlin. It's going into the history of that. There was actually a gay rights segment of the Volkish movement that were gay rights activists that saw gay men as being like the epitome of masculinity. Like
Bragwin says Volk equals folk, and that's the reason why the white nationalist subset of pay. Well, I was gonna say there's another side of this. This is a part of, so like, Ocean's a very good friend of mine, and one of the things that he did a ton of research into was called folkism, and it is the modern day pagan Nazi movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. I had a friend who history on this friend. We met in World of Warcraft when I was like 14 years old. And we maintained a friendship all the way until a few years ago. And we're still friends, we just don't talk all that much. And I found out that she had fallen into a folkish cult and did not recognize that it was a Nazi cult. Like, did not have any idea that it was. And to show her that it was a Nazi cult, we did things like, grabbed the memes that were being posted by the leader of the cult and showing, like, man, this is saying Aryan a whole lot. I wonder why it's doing that. So luckily she ended up leaving that cult. But, like, it's interesting to me to hear that now, knowing, like, oh, yeah, this is stuff that Ocean researched a bunch of and gave me a bunch of information on years ago because a friend fell into that fucking cult.
Yeah. And, yeah, it has its roots going back to pre-Nazi Germany when, like, and, like, the Volkish gay rights movement was, like, very much aligned with the Nazi ideals. Like, they not only are, like, men the most masculine when they're having sex with other men, but also Germans are the best men, and Jews kind of suck. And yeah, that story ends with the leopards eating their faces. Anyway, moving on. Oh, this was just chef's kiss. Mwah. Did you see this one?
No, because I'm not on Twitter anymore.
So Elon Musk posted this picture. The grave is for the Department of Education, but if we look closely here, zoom in.
Department.
So
When
you're posting the meme celebrating the elimination of the Department of Education, you should at least make sure you're spelling things correctly. Like, that just, it's perfect. It's no notes. I can't add to this. It's just funny on its own.
Yeah, it's you've already shown exactly why you need a DOE.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah. No, yeah. Sam Brenna says Volk clubs are big in South Africa among the Afrikaans people, and Elon is Afrikaans. Yeah, did you see the interview with Elon Musk's dad where he's like, oh no, he couldn't be racist. He was sometimes friends with our black slaves. I mean servants.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Louisiana also misspelt Louisiana on their seal recently. That happened as well. They called it Louis Nana.
Man.
And then Elon Musk again says, daily abuse of authority by the federal judiciary, acting in stark contrast to the will of the people, is severely eroding their credibility in the eyes of the public. Once gone, it's never coming back. Abuse of judicial authority must stop, he says, well after the Supreme Court has already ruined their credibility.
Like, yes, the Supreme Court ruined their credibility, but they ruined it because of what Trump did to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. On top of, not just Trump, also fucking... I can't remember his name. The dying turtle.
McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. There we go. But
guy who answers reporter questions with "my hearing's not what it used to be."
This is also on the back of. Have you seen what Mike Johnson has been saying about the district judges?
No.
So Majority Speaker Mike Johnson is currently wanting to remove several district judges so that we only have a Supreme Court, effectively.
Okay. That sounds about right. Olivia Williams says, Musk also supports apartheid groups. Like and share. Don't like and share the apartheid groups.
Next is right. Thank you for the follow.
I know, Olivia. I know what you're trying to... You're trying to trick me into telling people to like and share my video. But I won't do it. Yeah, anyway, it's just... It's peak irony or hypocrisy, one or the other, of these people like ruining the credibility of the Supreme Court and then being like, oh, the lower courts disagree with us sometimes, therefore they're ruining their credibility. It's like, no, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, if anything, they're retaining their credibility by stopping you from being able to do your fucking chainsaw bullshit.
We're just trying to make the government more efficient, don't you see?
Yeah, by firing people for a month and then rehiring them and then having to pay them back pay for work that they didn't do. So you end up paying the same amount of money and getting less work out of it. Oh, but that's the judge's fault. That's efficient.
But that's the judge's fault.
No,
that's their fault.
Yep. No, if they had fired them correctly and used the proper channels, then they wouldn't have need to go to court for it. So, yeah. No, it's just the height of irony. Eric Dougherty says, breaking, Mike Waltz announces that he spoke with Elon Musk and said tech experts are going to figure out how the Atlantic's Jeff Goldberg got into the Signal chat. I can tell you for 100%, I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone. So
this is just the hot dog guy trying to say, we are definitely looking for the person who crashed the hot dog mobile into the storefront.
Well, so what I find interesting here is that instead of just being like, whoops, I added him by mistake, or even just like, yeah, he's in my contacts, but no, I didn't add him to the group. I'm not sure how that happened. Even that, he's going all the way and being like, I don't know the guy. I've never talked to him. I don't have his number. I don't know why I would have his number. I've never talked to the. What this says to me is that Mike Waltz is a leaker. He's got key people from the press in his phone, ready to text them juicy details.
Oh, yeah, and apparently he was found to have a bunch of journalists on his Venmo account.
Oh, is that? I saw something about Venmo, but I didn't read that article. So
it's just him. It's just him.
Yeah. So and I am skeptical that he would be a leaker for principle. I feel like this is more. He's trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah, it's for money.
And he's on the verge of getting caught, and he's trying to cover his ass. But we've been like, oh no, he must have hacked his way into the group. I don't know how that happened. I don't have him on my phone. So I feel like Mike Waltz is a hacker. Is a leaker.
I think he's a hack.
He is a hack. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain he's just a hack.
Yeah. So, but he has to explain how, because it's very clear that he is the one that added him. Okay, gonna be a wizard.
You're a wizard, Rhino.
No, stop quoting that woman. There's better fiction.
There is better fiction, but I can't help the fact that I actually like that fiction.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the movies. The books have gotten to the point where I see too many of the plot holes because I'm a sucker for J.K. Rowling dunking. So anytime any video essayist makes a video about the plot holes in Harry Potter or whatever, I watch it.
Like I find that she is a piece of shit, and her work is very, very derivative of a bunch of other better works. Mm-hmm. However, I also can't deny the fact that I find reading those books to be very, very fun, and I probably read through all 7 of them once every 2-ish years. Like it is, I have a list of books that I read in rotation along with new books that I read, and it's like the Harry Potter series, the Darth Bane trilogy, and the Hunger Games are very much part of that rotation.
Okay, I think we're starting on the so when are you getting assessed for autism?
Very good question.
Because I know we've pretty much confirmed the ADHD unofficially.
I actually have talked to I've scheduled an appointment with my primary care physician in order to start the process of getting an ADHD diagnosis, or at least doing the test that will be required for that. Mm-hmm. I'm unfamiliar with all of what goes on in that, not my area of expertise, but I guess I'll find out more once I go in for that, since I have medical insurance finally. So we'll see how that goes. No idea on the autism front, but again, I
feel like if you've got your 3 series of books that you read in rotation, I feel like that might be a warning sign.
Should I also talk about the video games that I play on yearly rotation? Because it's Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Paper Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, and any Pokemon game, just any old school Pokemon game, it'll be one of them.
Because they're all the same game.
To a very large degree, yes.
Well, Pokemon Snap is different.
And both Pokemon Snaps are fantastic.
And I got mad at Pokemon Snap because I was trying to take pictures that actually looked good, mm-hmm. which means I was using the rule of thirds, and it was mm-hmm. like, oh, the Pokemon's not right in the dead center of the thing, so you lose points. I'm like, yeah, but the picture looks better, so fuck you.
Yeah, that's why you just save that one in your album so you can keep it, and then you take it to a kiosk and get it printed out so you have it.
But I don't want to save it. I want the game to tell me that I took a good picture so that I can move on to the next thing.
Well, that's entirely fair. I don't need
the picture for myself because it's just a fucking video game. I've never understood the take a selfie button or whatever that they have in some games.
I mean, I
guess I get it. If you're going to spend money on a skin, then that's the only time you're going to see it. You may as well use it. But
I will say that I understand it a lot as somebody who, growing up, really wanted a lot of my digital experiences to be transposed into reality. So like I grew up having Pokemon Snap, and there was a kiosk for Pokemon Snap at my local Blockbuster, which dates me, I know, but playing Pokemon Snap on the N64 also dates me. So, and the thing you do with the kiosk is you would take your cart and you would plug it in, and then you could go from your album that you save in that game and print any of those pictures out for a small fee. It was like $1 per picture or something.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, like not only is that a thing, but that kiosk is now a very expensive collectible. Now you're looking up Pokemon Snap kiosk.
No, I'm not.
He says. But so I liked having those pictures as things I could hang up around my room, because as far as I was concerned, the experiences that I had in that game were as fun and as real as any experience that I was having out in reality, just like taking a picture of a fun event that you went to with a bunch of friends. To expound on that a tiny bit, for a game like World of Warcraft, there's a snapshot feature in there as well. And a lot of times, me and my friends will do snapshots of, hey, here's an event that we all did together, and here's all of us posing for the thing in the event. And it to me, it happening in a digital landscape versus it happening in a real landscape, there's not too much of a difference there. Like, that avatar is as much me as me.
Cyrus, we're taking a pause from the tweets.
Sure.
We are both doing an assessment for autism right now.
We're doing an assessment for autism right now?
Yeah, so
okay.
Open up a notepad so you can keep track of your answers.
Sure thing. Let's find out autism together.
All right, so you can all of these questions are either definitely agree, slightly disagree, or definitely disagree.
Are you sure Notepad's going to be good for this, or
maybe a spreadsheet? I don't know. I'm using Notepad because I use Notepad for everything. Okay. I often notice small sounds when others do not.
Yeah.
Okay. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small details.
It depends on what we're talking about.
Okay. My partner has informed me in the past that is a very autistic answer to some of these questions.
God damn it!
Because the autism thing is like, it's not a universal. I need more details. I need to understand the exact context that everything's in. Whatever.
Yeah, I need that as well. Like,
I gave myself a slight disagree because I usually focus very much on what small detail, like the small details that we are getting into right now. Of like, what is the context that we are worried about small details on? Am I taking a picture in Pokemon Snap and I want it to look like a good picture, or do I want it in the middle so it gets a higher score?
Are we small detailsing the small details? Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening. So I did a slight disagree because it depends on the context, and I usually like the details. I find it easy to do more than one thing at once.
I find that I almost always have to do more than one thing at once.
Okay. If there is an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly.
No, you break me away from the task and I get angry.
Me too. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone is talking to me.
No, generally speaking, I'm like, okay, cool, I need you to mean the words you say.
Yeah, so this is one that I would have agreed originally, but then my partner kept pointing out instances of me not doing that. I was like, okay, maybe. So 6. I know how to tell if someone is listening to me or is getting bored. I say as we take time out of our normal show to do an autism assessment.
Kinda. I think it's more that I just don't care. Like, if I'm talking about something that I really like, that's what I'm doing. And you can get me to stop, but like, whether or not you're listening isn't my main concern. you can click off the video. That's a thing you can do.
There is a clip in the archives of Cyrus talking at length about something that I was not interested in, to where I like leaned back and put my hat over my face, and he just kept going and kept going.
I forgot there was an actual example of me doing.
Yeah, no, and chat was like, Rhino, you're being rude. I'm like, social cues, what are those?
I'm just like, I I also don't care that he's doing that. I'm gonna keep going.
When I'm reading a story, I find it difficulty to work out the character's intentions.
No, that one's pretty easy. If I'm reading the story, I've got a lot of information to work with, and that's what I need to go with.
Okay. Question 8. I like to collect information about categories of things,
Yes.
e.g. types of cars, types of bird,
Yes.
types of brains, type of Magic the Gathering cards.
Yes. Yes. I can tell you how to put together a Monster Hunter set that ruins the lives of the thing you're hunting as well. I can also tell you the frame data on the knives in Resident Evil.
Question 9. I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at their face.
No, not really.
And 10. I find it difficult to work out people's intentions.
It depends.
Okay. So, did you keep track of what number the questions were?
I did not at all.
Oh, fuck you. Did you keep track of anything?
No, but send me if it's 10 questions, I can just put in the answers on my own. You could have just sent me the thing.
God damn it. Yeah, but no, we're doing it together.
Yeah, and I can just it will take me 10 seconds. The thing that is taking time is you sending me a link.
No, the thing that I'm trying to tabulate my own score here, and you're delaying me because you weren't doing it properly.
I didn't realize this was a fucking PDF. I didn't know this was a PDF.
Yeah, I told you to keep track.
I didn't know the why. Oh my god. Okay.
My partner just popped in to say because your ADHD got bored. Okay. So if you score 1 point for definitely or slightly agree on each of items 1, 7, 8, and 10. So that's agree or slightly agree. So it's 1, 7, 8, and 10.
Score 1 point for definitely or slightly agree on each of the items.
1, 7, 8, and 10.
1, 7,
Shut
8,
up.
10.
I'm reading.
Why is it so specific on this? What?
Because some of them are if you agree you're autistic, if you disagree you're normie, and some of them are flipped, and they didn't want you to know which ones are flipped before you read to the bottom.
Okay, hold on, I gotta figure this sec.
Yeah, that's why I was telling you to keep fucking track of it. And then score 1 point for definitely or slightly disagree on items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. So for every disagree I get a point, so 2, 3.
Okay, so
6. Oh my god. If you score 6 or above, so this is just a preliminary test. If you score 6 or above, you get considered for a referral for autism diagnosis. I scored 8.
I don't. Hold on. Score 1 point or definitely or slightly agree on each items. 2 definitely or slightly agree on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
People
and 9.
in my YouTube chat are asking for the link, so here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you agree on each of items. Okay, for definitely or slightly disagree. My brain was reading it as definitely or slightly agree for both of them, and I was like, why is this segmented? Okay. 1 and then 7.
Yeah, so this is not the full test. This is not, oh, I definitely have autism because I scored an 8. This is, the doctor would say, okay, I'll refer you to the person that can actually diagnose you.
8, 1, and 10 is, I find it difficult to work out.
Alex Merkel says, 1 eternity later.
Yep, and it's gonna be that. I apologize. I got roped into this. This is not my fault.
If only you had kept track like I told you.
Shoosh. Okay, definitely slightly disagree gives you the one in here. Usually concentrate on more than the old picture rather than the small details. It depends. I don't know what to put here because it depends.
Does it depend more often you do it or more often you don't do it?
I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small details. It depends on what it is. Like, if we're talking about character motivations...
The fact that you're picking the small details for this question says that I would say that's an agree.
So I do care about the small details.
You do care about the small details more than the overall.
Okay.
Whether it's slightly or not, I don't know. I'll let you make that decision, but it's 1 point either way.
I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. I don't find it easy to. I find it generally necessary to. If there is a interruption, I can switch back.
The best part about this is I didn't scroll down far enough on the original page. So there's a non-PDF version where you can just like pick the button, the little radio buttons, and it'll total it for you.
God fucking damn it. Anyway, let's see here. I know how to tell if someone's listening to me for bored. Yeah, I know how to tell. I just don't give a shit. Like, if they put a hat over their eyes and start snoring, they've probably stopped caring. And it's easy to work out what someone's feeling just by looking at their face. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have exactly 6.
You have exactly 6, so that's
a
exactly
referral
6. For more. I had 8. So we both get referred for further testing.
Okay, that's fair enough, I guess.
Okay. Should we get back on track?
I don't know. I don't find it easy to get back on tasks.
This autism diagnosis is brought to you by ADHD.
Anyway, I guess I think this one's being handled by Kayla. I guess this autism diagnosis is its own video.
Okay,
cut it away.
Yep, there we go.
I don't know.
Piper, same.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth says, so let me get this straight. The Atlantic released the so-called war plans. They were actual war plans. We saw the screenshots. And those plans include no names, no targets, no locations, no units, no routes, no sources, no methods, and no classification. Okay, I'd say...
they definitely did include some of those things in the final versions of
like methods
stuff.
Is like they said tomahawks. That's missile. That's a method, is it not?
Yeah.
F-18s were mentioned specifically. That is a method, is it not? No routes, but routes could be figured out from knowing that this, because the target was, like he says, no location, no targets. No, the targets were very much known, and especially like if you were one of the people that was like involved in that, and you saw the thing about how like, oh no, he just walked into his girlfriend's house, and you're like, oh, I just walked into my girlfriend's house. Maybe we should leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he says those are some really shitty war plans. I mean, if you're making shitty war plans, maybe you shouldn't be the Department of Defense guy.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, because like like these text messages have been validated by what was it, National Security Council or whatever. The screenshots are authentic. They have been validated by people that would have been served better to say no, they are fake. So the fact that they are valid and he's saying they're shitty war plans, like, okay, well, you were making, like, they were your war plans. This only proves one thing. Jeff Goldberg has never seen a war plan or an attack plan, as he now calls it. Not even close. I don't think Hegseth has seen one, which is actually concerning given his position.
Yeah.
Fennec says, LOL, I got a 10. Then, as I type this, my team and I are traveling to the Indo-PACOM region, meeting with commanders, the guys who make real war plans, and talking to the troops. We will continue to do our job while the media does what it does best, peddle hoaxes. It's not a hoax. It was verified by your guys.
It's a thing that happened. You have to call it a hoax to protect your ass. But, like, I don't think you're the best judge of what a hoax is anymore.
No. Oh, yeah. So the next
content warning!
The next one I'm issuing a content warning for. It is not terribly graphic, but it is close enough to graphic that if it just came up out of nowhere, it might be surprising. It looks like a person has just shot another person in the head. It is not a real person. It's a dummy. But I didn't want to just spring that on y'all without the warning. So Valentina Gomez says, this is cheaper than deportation. So now I will acknowledge that like ordinarily my policy here is that I only show tweets, or I only show screenshots that I took myself, because a lot of times it can be too hard to validate screenshots you get from elsewhere. But this is one that, like, it was being reported on by credible news outlets, and it got deleted after this for what I hope are obvious reasons. No, that's not the puppy killer.
No, so Valentina Gomez,
She is currently running. She didn't actually win like the puppy killer did.
No, she runs all the time. That's her thing. She's been running for political office and failing at it for years, and her campaign has always been the same: Republican shock humor. That's been her thing for ages, is like, be a shock jock that says things to piss off liberals. That has been her shtick, and she has never swayed from it.
Yeah, but in the current climate, I'm worried that she might win this time.
Who knows?
So, yeah, these are the people on the right. Like, yeah, sure, she's doing it for the reaction, and yeah, I'm kind of giving in by giving her the reaction, but if you're a piece of shit, I'm going to show the world that you're a piece of shit.
Bragwin says she's built like Caitlyn Bennett, so only useful for rocketing out sharts. Please don't tell me I have to explain this one.
No, I know who Caitlyn Bennett is. I know what she's known for.
Okay.
But, yeah. Okay, moving on. William Wolf says Secretary of Defense puts on a masterclass on how to deal with the regime media propagandists like Jeffrey Goldberg. So you're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who has made a profession of peddling hoaxes. I voted for this. So he posted this along with the video of Hegseth drunkenly being like, no, it didn't happen, when it had already been validated that it was real. So
William Wolf, you did vote for this. You're right. You're also a moron.
Yeah, you voted for an idiot liar who can't doesn't know how to do his job. Like, everybody's been making the joke, so I haven't, but like, it's worth saying he's a DUI hire.
God damn it.
Have you not heard that one?
It's not that I haven't heard it, it's that it's still funny.
Okay, that's fair.
Lady Badass says regime media, you mean Fox? I mean, considering that Fox News was literally built only to be an antithesis to CNN and MSNBC. That was the foundation of Fox, was to give an alternative, even if CNN and MSNBC were telling the truth. It was to give an alternative spin on it. That's been the ethos for since its inception.
Yeah. Yep. But what just boggles the mind here is, like, this whole security breach thing that's unprecedented in all of American history, literally caused by reverse DEI. Like, they get into the office, they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of DEI, so we're going to fire all the black people and replace them with mediocre white men. And then the mediocre white men fuck up their jobs.
Do this.
And I've been slurring a lot today. I promise you there is no alcohol in this. This is just water. I'm just tired. But, like, I'm hearing my words slur, and I'm like, oh, they're going to think that I'm drinking.
I didn't realize how tired I was today. And then I realized that I woke up 4 hours late from everything I did yesterday. I'm surprised I'm not slurring more words right now.
Better not be having a stroke. No, I'm just tired.
Nah, Bames John having a strong ambulance.
Sure. Oh, that was the last one. Okay. We are done.
Department under the influence.
All right. Are you still streaming after this one?
I think due to time constraints, after this, I'm hopping off and then trying to get my gym time in.
Okay. Well, Jake is streaming, so I will raid Jake.
Let's go bug Jake then.
Okay. As always, fuck off.